hit a home run daily.
And you see that .354 batting average for the right-handers against him. It's the switch hitting Emilio Bonifacio who will lead off. Bonifacio 1 for 5 last night. Levon starts him off and misses low, ball 1. Bonifacio got off to that rip-roaring start, but just 7 hits in his last 55 at bats. And a fastball in for a strike, and it's 1-1. Fourth start of the year for Levon, who started his career as a Florida Marlin back in 1997. Cameron Maben on deck. Rounded down to first, where Tatis handles it cleanly and retires the speedy Bonifacio 1 away.
And of course, we got to go over this Lexus Mets defense. It changes daily. Sheffield in left, Beltran and Church. Right, Reyes, Alex Cora getting the start at second base, moves Tatis to first, and Omir Santos, the big hero of last night's ball game, doing the catching.
So here's the rookie center fielder Cameron Maben. Remember last year Maben came up late in the season and hit 500, 16 for 32, but reality at the start of the season has been a little tougher for him to take, hitting just 189 with 22 strikeouts. Sat last night, and Levon starts him off outside, ball 1.
Well, it's more like his minor league career, where he struck out almost a third of his at bats, struggling to make contact, especially with runners in scoring position.
They've been one of the players the Marlins got in their big deal with the Tigers a couple of winters ago. By the way, it looks like Dontrell Willis, who was on the other side of that deal, is starting to work his way back, pitching now in AAA as he tries to make his way back through the Tigers farm system.
I talked to someone that's been working with him. They have revamped his whole windup. You wouldn't even recognize how he throws now. A more traditional windup.
No leg kick anymore?
Not a big leg kick. It's more trying to look a little bit more like Santana. Someone told me that they've got tapes of Santana and they're trying to make Dontrell throw a little bit like that. More in reserve, littler leg kick. Almost hard to believe.
Yes, it is, because that was such a signature for him. 1-2 to Maben, and that misses high. 2-2. Levon dialing up to 87. That's about where he's going to top out.
Levon will throw at 83 to 84 to get it over, to get in front early, and then when he sees a chance, he'll try to burn one on that outside corner.
And the curveball gets Maben swinging. 2 down.
Well, what's great about Levon is he can throw 187, and the next one is 63, which is going to have a young hitter out in front. This is a perfect lineup, to tell you the truth, for Hernandez, because of their ability. They want to swing. They want to put the ball in play. Hard to be patient.
Well, for a few years, the Mets watched Levon's half-brother, El Duque, throw those Bugs Bunny curveballs. We used to get him down to the mid-50s.
It's genetic, Gary. It runs in the family.
I guess so. So here's John Baker hitting third tonight. And he takes ball 1. Baker hitting at .294, 0 for 2 last night, walked a couple of times. And that fastball in at the knees, 1-1.
You know what they've been happy about Baker is that they knew he could hit enough, knew he was a good on-base guy, but they've been happy with the way he's caught. He's really taken kind of a more, how would you say, a veteran charge of this pitching staff.
Grounded weakly out to Cora. And so Levon Hernandez gets the Marlins 1-2-3 without the ball leaving the infield in the opening inning. Starting lineup brought to you by Geico. The changes: Alex Cora slides in at second base. Luis Castillo suffered some back spasms last night. Might be able to play tomorrow. Delgado stays out of the lineup because of his hip injury, so Tatis gets another start at first base. And there is Omir Santos making his 4th consecutive start behind the plate. Ramon Castro will go in the day game tomorrow.
Well, now pitching for the Florida Marlins, Ricky Nolasco has gotten off to a really slow start, but he did the same thing last year when he won 15 games. So it could be a big test for him tonight. He's always had trouble against the Mets. He's 2-6 with a 6.36 ERA.
And Reyes has had especial good fortune against Nolasco. 13 for 29, a 4.48 average with 3 home runs against this right-hander, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
See the defense against Reyes, of course, the third baseman in Bonifacio, and playing him to pull in the rest of the infield, which is very unusual.
Cantu right near the line. A curveball from Nolasco in for a strike. You know, it's funny because Nolasco had a great year last year. He went 15-8, and a couple of times we saw him late in the year. He had fabulous games against the Mets, but he just doesn't seem to be able to beat them. He had the misfortune to be matched up against Santana that last Saturday of the year last year. And Reyes takes a call third strike on the outside corner. 3 pitches, and Reyes is down, 1 away.
Well, Nolasco, fastball, curveball, fastball away, right on the black. Good call by home plate umpire Jerry Meals. Nolasco is one of those pitchers that the hitters will go back to the bench and say, you know what, he's real sneaky fast.
So here's Alex Cora getting the start at second base tonight. Cora came off the bench last night when Castillo got hurt, went 0 for 1. Just 2 for 13 to begin the season, and he takes a strike. Had both those hits in a start in St. Louis, game in which he reached base 4 times.
Well, this will work well. Jerry Meals seems to have a big strike zone today, which will work well for Livan Hernandez, but Cora already questioning that first pitch strike.
And Nolasco misses with the curve, and it's 1-1. A Gary Carter Montreal Expos jersey.
Wow. I wore that uniform for 3 weeks.
Not the 8.
Not the 8. I wish it would have been. I needed to be in the witness protection program when I pitched over there.
You know, something very funny happened when the Expos moved to Washington. As you look at Carlos Beltran on deck, the Expos had retired Gary Carter's number. They'd also retired Rusty Staub's number 10. But both those numbers went back into circulation when the franchise moved to Washington. You would have thought that, you know, if they didn't want to identify fully with the Expos, at least they would have honored that tradition that had already been, the precedent that had already been set.
Honored their greatest players.
Right. 3-1 to Cora right down the middle, 3-2. Wonder who has the outfield padding from the wall at Olympic Stadium with a retired number.
That's right.
Maybe it's still there. 3-2 from Nolasco, hit over third, a foul ball. Those are good seats for getting foul balls.
I had some friends of mine that I was lucky enough to have those seats. They sat there. They said it was unbelievable.
You see that Nolasco has struggled against the Mets. The only pitcher with a higher ERA against the Mets is Brad Penny. The guy with good credentials who just hasn't been able to pitch well against New York. 3-2 to Cora, and it's inside ball 4, and so Cora works out a 1-out walk. First base runner of the game for either side, and Carlos Beltran will come to the plate.
There's Mark Wiley, the pitching coach, writing in his book little things that he would like to talk to his starting pitcher about. It won't be tonight. He'll talk to him maybe after the game or tomorrow.
Beltran still leading the National League in batting with his .397 average. He's got a 10-game hitting streak working, and Carlos takes low for ball 1.
It was interesting. Our director Billy Webb showed us that defense. All good hitters who hit for average, and Beltran's on top of his game right now, leading the league. They play him straight up because they just don't know where he's going to hit the ball.
And that's a change for Carlos because he has been much more conscious of taking the ball the other way, especially batting left-handed.
If you're a hitter on this New York Mets team and you come to the ballpark every day and take batting practice, it would behoove you to use the whole field.
There's a lot of field to use. 1-1 from Velasco. Curveball ripped down the right field line, but hooking, and it goes foul.
Well, in this day and age, when you see most hitters take one hand off the bat, not for Carlos, follow through with both hands, and just a tiny bit quick on that curveball from Velasco.
Now it's 1-2 to Beltran. And Carlos trying to call time, and it was granted by Jerry Meals. Velasco looked like he was in his motion when time was called. That bother you as a pitcher?
It does, because usually Jerry Meals will stand up taller. He kind of sank down a little bit, kind of lose sight of him. And you know what? It's not the umpire's fault. He does not want to disrupt what you're doing. But I think at some point, you know, he's got to make a decision that who's going to win here, the pitcher being able to pitch or the hitter being able to step out.
Cora leads at first. The 1-2 pulled on the ground toward the hole. Base hit. Cora will go to second and stop there. And the Mets have 2 aboard with Gary Sheffield coming up. Beltran now has an 11-game hitting streak.
Oh, look at defensively for the Marlins. You can see double play depth. Second baseman towards the center opens up that hole. And I'll tell you, in this first inning or first at bat, it seems all year long he is wearing out that hole.
Well, the Mets, as they were last year for a good portion of the season, have been first-inning warriors lately. The Mets have scored in the first inning in 8 of their last 11 games. And a chance to get some first-inning runs tonight with Sheffield coming up. Gary swung the bat very well last night, had a first-inning single that drove in a run, and then was robbed of an extra base hit his next time up by Cody Ross in center field. Sheffield takes inside off the glove of Baker, and the runners move up.
Well, this is supposed to be a little slider, and you know what happens? It just backs up, stays in the middle, and almost works back towards the inside towards Sheffield. That ball is supposed to break to Baker's right. Instead of staying straight and broke a little bit to his left. They're having a discussion about it now.
So it's a pass ball charge to Baker. Well, before the game tonight, Gary Sheffield was honored for his 500th home run. They showed highlights of all of the home runs that came before for all the different teams Sheffield played for, but his only one as a Met, that was the historic one. And the Mets honored him with Omar Minaya, Jeff Rolpon, and Rusty Staub doing the honors tonight with that beautiful bat.
We showed all the guys that he had hit home runs off. Maybe our stat guy Dave will check. Dave, am I in that book? The Sheffield book?
Infield back with second and third and 1 out. And Gary hits it in the air to center field. Hit well. Back goes Maben going back. Warning track. Reaching. Can't get it. 2 runs will score. Sheffield around second. He's heading for third. The relay throw by Messick to third. Not in time. A 2-run triple for Gary Sheffield. The Mets have now tripled in 9 straight games by 9 different players.
Well, last night, same kind of shot from Sheffield, and Cody Ross made an amazing catch. Maben, though, is not able to run this one down. Really to the deepest part of the park. Cora tagging up. He can come home easily. Great read by Carlos Beltran, the center fielder that he is. He knew that could not make a play, and Sheffield, still for 40 years old, runs extremely well.
If you hit a ball deep in this ballpark or in any kind of gap, you have to be thinking triple right out of the box. Here's David Wright with the infield in, and he swings and misses.
Well, Velasco missed with a slider. Let's see how he comes back. The pitch differential. Outside part, no. He wanted that down, Baker. It's up over the strike zone. And that's one thing with Sheffield. Notorious high ball hitter. If you're going to make a mistake, it's got to be down.
As his third and fourth runs batted into the year. Now Wright trying to get Sheffield in from third with 1 out, and David lifts one foul down the right field side. 0-2.
Velasco's got to be, you got to be kidding me. I'm doing this again against this team.
A walk to Cora, a single by Beltran, a pass ball, and then Sheffield hitting one 400 feet to left center for a triple that brings home 2. now been 9 triples hit in this ballpark in less than 11 games. 0-2 curveball in there for a call strike 3, and Wright is down looking. So David Wright strikes out for the 24th time this year. That leads the National League.
Well, when he makes his pitches, Nolasco's awfully tough. We've seen him against Reyes leading off, and right here starts one right at his shoulder, bends over that outside corner.
So now the infield can drop back with 2 on. Ryan Church coming up. Ryan 7th in the National League with that .356 batting average. 1 for 3, drove in a run last night. Well, the Mets have scored in the first inning again. This was their trademark last season. Last night they got 6 in the first inning. Dave Freed has checked the calendar, by the way. You never faced Sheffield.
I never faced him. I probably dodged him. Every time he was playing, I probably dodged him.
Or he dodged you. 2-0 now to Church.
You know, it's interesting. Jerry Manuel's comments before the game. They're talking about Ryan Church, and it's almost like a little switch has gone on. The way he was talking about it, he says, I have some core guys that are going to play every day, and Church is our right fielder. We didn't always hear that early in the year.
It's been very interesting the way Church has been handled since the opening days of spring training, and some of the things that Jerry has said, and whether they were intended as prods or whether they were intended as motivation or whether it's just an honest opinion about a player. But Ryan has continued to respond. 3-0, and that's a strike 3-1.
Well, he became the focal point when they signed Gary Sheffield. And did he say anything? No. All he did is continue to play hard.
Well, even before that, early in spring training, Jerry talked about how Murphy was a better hitter than Church, and Tatis might play a lot in right field.
He had the great attitude, Gary. He said, you know what? I'll let my play talk.
And it has done that. He's hitting. He's doing his usual fine job in right field. And thus he's out there just about every day. 3-1 to Church. And he misses ball 4, and that's the second walk of the inning by Nolasco. And so with first and third and 2 out, Fernando Tatis will get a turn.
You know, this Florida Marlins team can ill afford for their starters to not have good starts. They've struggled a little bit in their bullpen. Luckily last night, Anibal Sanchez lasted 6 innings. But Nolasco having some of the same problems as Anibal had in the first inning last night. 24 pitches.
And in Nolasco's case, he's a guy who just doesn't generally walk people. Last year, 42 walks in 212 innings. Here's Tatis, and the breaking ball in for a strike. This year, just 6 walks in 21 innings coming in.
I think his thing for me is Nolasco is a 4-pitch pitcher. I think he tries to come into the game throwing all 4 pitches for strikes. And if he can get through the first couple of innings, those pitches come back to him, and that's when he's more difficult. So you have to get him early, traditionally with any good starting pitcher.
Tatis went 1 for 3 last night, starting his second straight game at first base, and he grounds that one to shortstop. Meziga gets the out at second to end the inning. But the Mets get off to a fast start again. 2 runs in the first inning. They score in the first for the 9th time in the last 12 games, courtesy of Gary Sheffield, whose 400-foot triple brought home 2. And it staked Livan Hernandez to a 2-0 lead as we head to the second. Leads off the second inning for Florida. Mets with a 2-0 lead. Cantu 1 for 4 last night. Drove in the only Florida run in a 7-1 Met win. And Livan Hernandez starts him off with a strike. First pitch strikes were a rare commodity for Livan in his last start. He threw only 6 first pitch strikes to 23 batters against the Cardinals in his last start.
And you know, the home plate umpire had a tight strike zone and just never opened it up. It seems like Meals wants to work with Hernandez, wants to give him that first one.
1-1 to Cantu, and that's just off the corner. 2-1.
Now, balls to strikes ratio is not as important as keeping his pitch count down for Livan Hernandez.
2-1. Cantu takes up and away, and it's 3-1. Jorge Cantu playing through a very sore left hand and wrist, but he just keeps on hitting, so he hasn't come out of the lineup. Jeremy Hermida on deck, and then Dan Uggla here in the second. And Hernandez walks Cantu to start the second inning. So the first base runner for the Marlins is now Jeremy Hermida. Hermida went 0 for 3 last night, hitting at .258. Hermida making the switch this year from right field to left field. One of the goals that the Marlins have had coming into this season was to get a little less dependent on the home run, tighten up their defense, add a little bit of speed, and become a little more diversified team. But we've seen early in the season from Florida that they haven't necessarily reached their goal. I mean, the goal was to become a little more offensively consistent, a little better defensively, while their defense is still a work in progress. And offensively, they were brilliant for the first 12 games, and they have been ground out for the last 7 games, averaging just 2.4 runs per game. Good off-speed pitch by Livan. That's 1-2.
Well, I got to see Hermida play left field now, what, 5 or 6 games. And the thing I think about Hermida is that he was a much better right fielder than he's a left fielder. And people will say, how does that work? It's just the outfield. The ball comes off the bat differently, and he has less confidence in that left field slot than he did in right field. You know, you're right, Gary, though. I think they've added speed, Bonifacio and Maben, but they've added some young players. Maben is a guy who's going to strike out a lot, and they put him in that 8 slot. He never was getting a fastball.
Now Livan ahead on Hermida, 1-2. And he misses the outside corner, 2-2. Livan never gets ruffled. 34 years of age. Came up when he was a mere 21 to help lead the Marlins to a World Series championship in '97. 2-2. Popped it up on the left side. Wright and Reyes retreating, and Reyes takes charge. 1 away.
Well, he was not only the National League MVP in those playoffs, but also was the MVP of the World Series. Had that great game against the Atlanta Braves where he struck out 16 Braves in an afternoon game.
And the funny thing is, Livan has never struck out more than 11 in a regular season game. I was at that game. I called that game for CBS Radio, and Eric Gregg was the home plate umpire, and he had a strike zone that gave him about 7 inches off the plate outside.
Well, he had that thing where he was throwing that little Bugs Bunny curveball in the outside corner, and Eric Gregg just kept calling it, and it was a pitch that the Braves, even if they wanted to, couldn't swing at it.
Right. There's a strike, and it's 0-2. I remember he threw a pitch to Kenny Lofton to end that game that had to be a foot outside, but it was called. It was the 3rd strike, and you know, sometimes you just have to take advantage of what's given to you. But you know, in many ways, that was a game that caused Major League Baseball to take notice and change the way umpires call balls and strikes. 0-2 the count to Uggla. Pulled on the ground down to third. Right quickly to Cora. The quick relay not in time. Cora gets upended by Cantu. And now there are 2 out.
Well, nice play by David getting rid of this quickly. And Cora just tries to get rid of it just enough as Cantu almost takes him out, almost clips that left knee, but the KG veteran, wily veteran, just steps out of the way, gives him the left leg and takes it away, just like a football move.
But Cantu accomplished what he needed to. He disrupted that throw, even without the contact. So Ogolo aboard with 2 out. And now Cody Ross the batter. But you know what I mean? If it hadn't been for that game and all the attendant publicity of Livan Hernandez striking out 15 with that enormous strike zone, we might never have had Quest Tech.
Yeah, you're right about that. And if you take it 6 degrees later, you had, ironically, the Atlanta Braves being a victim of a big strike zone that worked against them when Quest Tech came in and their pitchers didn't get that strike zone anymore.
That's an excellent point, because the Braves pitchers, specifically Maddox and Glavine, worked off the plate for strikes more than anybody in the game. By the way, Tommy Glavine is feeling a little bit better about the possibility of actually coming back and pitching this year. He'd been talking retirement last week. So he tries to work his way back from injury. Here's the 1-1, and it's off the plate, 2-1 loss.
It didn't sound great. He said he threw 30 pitches from 70 feet, and he said, I won't tell you that I feel great, but it's not sore. So I don't know what that means exactly, but he's the kind of guy that doesn't need more than 80 miles an hour to go out there and pitch a game.
And Ross reaches for one and fouls it off, and it's 2-2. Cody Ross got off to a dreadful start this year. But has picked it up lately. Alfredo Amezaga on deck. Two from Livan. Ugla runs. The pitch, strike 3 called, and the inning is over. So Ross down looking. Second strikeout for Hernandez. 2 hitless innings for Livan. We go to the bottom of the second. The Grand Slam kid coming to bat. Mets up 2-0. Over New Jersey. You ever read a song like that? Sunset Over New Jersey?
I think so. If it hasn't, Springsteen will write it soon.
Oh, for Bruce, though, the sun doesn't set over New Jersey. It sets over Pennsylvania.
That's right. That's right.
Omir Santos leads off, but if you're a New Yorker, can't go any further west, right? Here's a strike to Santos, who last night hit the first grand slam in Citi Field history, the first home run of his career, the first RBIs of his career, and the first post-game shaving cream pie in the face of his career. Good curveball by Nolasco, and it's 0-2.
You know, after that home run last night in his first at bat, I don't know if you've noticed in the last game and a half, he is seeing a lot of sliders and breaking pitches away.
They're testing him now that he's shown that he's gotten a few hits. Tries to go the other way and fouls it off. Santos will turn 28 tomorrow. Spent 7 years in the Yankee organization. Got a taste of big league time with the Orioles last year. And now getting a chance to play really for the first time. Line center field, base hit for Santos. Behind in the count 0-2. Santos is now hit in 6 straight games.
Well, again, breaking pitches, then decided to come in with a fastball, and we just have seen Santos is ready any time for that pitch. Nice short swing, short stroke. And what you want any young hitter to do, hit the ball up the middle, right on it, inside the baseball.
So the Mets have a leadoff base runner in the second, and now Livan Hernandez, who had 3 sacrifices in 1 game against Florida the first time he faced them, tying a Mets club record.
Well, the ball's supposed to be down and in, and that ball's up and middle again. 0-2. If you were going to throw that pitch in there, you almost want to just miss his belt buckle. Just throw it right at his belt buckle. He'll get out of the way.
Livan, one of the better hitting pitchers in baseball. One of the better fielding pitchers in baseball.
Livan is one of those guys, now he won't be used in this situation, that you'll hit and run with occasionally.
Up and in. And that sends him backpedaling, 1-1.
Well, you lean it over to make sure you get in there, and whoop. Good quickness for a big man there. You know, Jerry made an interesting comment about Amir Santos, and that he has good speed, and that's something that could help the Mets late in the game. You don't have to run for him.
Bunted, foul. Well, the more Santos plays, and he's started 4 games in a row now. Castro will start tomorrow, day game after a night game, and then over the weekend in Philadelphia, you know, who's going to play? Schneider's not going to be ready yet. Jerry said he's going to need a couple of games on rehab to get himself ready once he comes off the disabled list. So, you know, it invites the comparisons now between what Santos does well, what Castro does well, and when Schneider is ready to play, who's going to stick around and who's going to exit. 1-2, the bunt stays on, and he gets it down, and Nolasco will have to go to first. So Livan gets it accomplished. 1-3 on the sacrifice, moving Santos to second. Weeknights at 6, they're 2 friends who couldn't disagree more on the latest happenings in New York sports. Join Chris Carlin and Adam Shine for some decibel-driven sports debate on Loudmouths. Weeknights at 6 p.m. right here on SNY.
Are we sure they're friends?
You know, they're both friendly guys.
Yeah, they are friendly guys. Good guys.
You know,
after a while, it's got to get personal, doesn't it?
I think it does. I think that's part of the point. It's a lively, friendly debate.
There you go.
Well, here's Reyes with a runner in scoring position and 1 out. Jose went down looking his first time up, and he takes the curveball low inside. And Nolasco throwing a lot of curves early in this game. Ricky Nolasco, a kid from L.A. who grew up rooting for the Dodgers. His dad brought his family in from Mexico and was a huge Dodger fan. Popped up behind third. Meziga angling out and calling. And that's the second out. So Reyes retired, 2 away. In fact, Nolasco says he was in the building at Dodger Stadium in 1992, the night that Kevin Gross threw a no-hitter.
Wow.
Kevin Gross was one of those guys who could be brilliant, and he could be awful.
Well, Ricky Nolasco's very rarely awful, but they're very similar pitchers in that they have all 4 pitches. They're not sure always when to use them. I think Nolasco throws more strikes than Gross.
Here's Cora, and he takes the fastball on the inside edge.
The one thing that Gross had, he was really mean, which was a good thing. You know what I mean?
Kevin Brown mean?
He was a little saner than Kevin Brown.
Don Drysdale mean?
No, no one's that mean. Bob Gibson or Don Drysdale mean. They don't make those guys anymore, Gary.
Randy Johnson mean?
Sometimes a little faux mean for me.
Well, give me a Met pitcher you played with who you'd characterize as mean. Oh-2 to Cora. Bloop toward the middle. Can't get that base hit. Here comes Santos around third. He'll score without a throw. It's an RBI single for Alex Cora, and it's 3-0 New York. Just a little flare from Cora to get the run in.
Well, these are the kind of things that the veteran Cora brings. He will make contact behind in the count. He'll put the ball in play. Have no chance if you don't put it in play. Gets jammed, but just enough to get that into the outfield. Again, missing with that pitch differential. Everything he missed with is up in the strike zone.
Cora got a huge jump and steals the base easily. He got an enormous break against Nolasco, and Cora has his first stolen base of the season.
It's almost sometimes when you watch Cora, the veterans will teach you how to play this game. After giving up a hit to Cora, he knows that Nolasco's angry, bitter, not paying any attention to him at first base, and uses it to his advantage.
So now he's in scoring position for Beltran, who singled to right and scored in the first inning. And he hits the curveball sharply to left, but right at Hermida, who almost had it go over his head, but he stayed with it to make the grab. It's like there's a Bermuda Triangle in left field. But Hermida was able to just reach up and grab it. So the Mets get one run in the second and now lead the Marlins 3-0. Fast start tonight, leading 3-0 as we go to the third. Time for Inside City Field with Kevin Burkhardt, presented by the New York City Union Carpenters and Contractors.
Well, Gary, we haven't seen this home run apple go up too often here at Citi Field. We've seen a lot more triples, that's for sure, but it's here, and it is huge. I'll tell you that right now, and I got to tell you, I was here when the Union Carpenters were responsible for trying to put this apple in. It wasn't easy, because it was actually made in Minnesota. Same company that produced the roof at Minute Maid Park. 19 feet wide. It's 5,000 pounds of fiberglass. The other apple was 12 feet wide. Paper mache, you could probably break it with your finger. This is a little bit different. But think about this. With that kind of size, on the hydraulics that it's on, it goes up in 5 seconds. In fact, if they wanted to, they can make it go up in 2 seconds. It goes down in 25 seconds. And that's actually kind of a critical thing because the timing, you want the apple to go up as the base runner is rounding first to get into our camera shots, of course. Then it has to go down so it's not in the batter's eye when the next batter bats. So the timing is kind of an issue. But think about that. 5,000 pounds up in the air in 5 seconds. I got to tell you, just looking at it right now, I think the actual leaf is bigger than I am. But it was quite a sight watching these union workers put this baby in, guys. And hopefully Met fans will get a chance to see it a lot more. Back to you.
Well, you know, maybe we have a home run apple, which has been traditional at first Shea and now Citi Field since the 80s. Maybe we should develop a different kind of a fruit for a triple.
There you go.
Maybe a little jackrabbit to come out to signify a 3-base hit. If the triple is going to be a big item here, which it looks like it will. Slap toward the middle. Reyes can't make the diving stop, and Amezaga has the first hit of the game for the Marlins.
Well, Amezaga, after trying to bunt twice, just sneaks this ball past Jose Reyes. When Amezaga is hitting, you have to play about 2 or 3 steps in off that grass, and that ended up with the hit for Alfredo.
So now the Mets will look for the bunt from Ricky Nolasco, who is 1 for 6 at the plate this year. You see his lifetime numbers there.
You got to be heads up. Livan Hernandez likes to throw to second base.
Santos pounces on that. It's a fair ball, but he goes to first base. Amezaga takes a turn and holds at second. Well, Santos pounced on that, thinking that a play might be available at second, but Amezaga was off to the races.
That was a hard call for Santos because I don't think he was aware that Amezaga was on the move. So any catcher, whenever the ball comes out only that short distance, you're feeling as though you're going to have a play at second base. But Amezaga with a great read, that big bounce, and by the time he picks it up, no play at second. Smart play by Santos to get the out. That's the bounce that hurt Santos right there.
2-4 on the sacrifice, retiring Nolasco. So now a runner in scoring position for Emilio Bonifacio, who grounded out to Tatis at first base his first time up. The corners come in against him, and he thinks about a bunt and takes a strike. Bonifacio is so reliant on his speed. Got off to a great start this year. He put the ball in play and he hit an inside the park home run against the Nationals, but he's a guy who's got a slap and dash. 0-2 now.
I agree with that, but I think you also have to know the context of your team as he misses his changeup. You got your best hitter Ramirez out. So what you're doing is you're saying you're going to put the onus on Maben, who's struggling, and Baker, who's not a traditional third hitter. If Ramirez was hitting third, I'd say, yeah, let's get as many people on base as we can. But the next 2 hitters are not as accomplished.
Swing and a miss struck him out in a pitch in the dirt. And so Bonifacio continues to struggle. And Livan Hernandez has his 3rd strikeout.
Well, Livan has his breaking stuff working today. And the key for him is when he gets ahead, get that ball in the dirt, out of the strike zone.
Well, Livan, who only threw 6 first pitch strikes in his entire stint against the Cardinals last time, has now thrown 6 first pitch strikes to the last 7 batters. He'll take on Cameron Maben now, who struck out his first time up. Maben is 0 for 15 this year with runners in scoring position. That's the most hitless at bats in the majors with runners in scoring position. Livan's pitch count right where he'd like it to be.
Yeah, throwing more strikes last inning.
And Maben takes a fastball for a strike, 1-1. I think we've seen a little more velocity from Livan tonight too.
Well, you'll see it with him. If he gets ahead of hitters, he'll add. When he doesn't get ahead of hitters, he has to subtract. So you'll see a lot of strikes 83 or 84 miles an hour. I think he wants to get Maben out with breaking pitches, though, if he can. Show him the fastball to get him out with the breaking pitch.
Phillies up 5-0. Chase Utley has a home run in that game. So does Pedro Feliz. What a game the Phillies and Nats had last night.
It's at 13-11 the final score.
Now the Red Sox going for their 12th straight tonight. Youkilis just doubled home a pair. And they lead 5-1.
Yeah, Santos and Hernandez having a little problem here. So what you'll do as a veteran pitcher, you go, hey, this is what we're going to throw. And if I throw it for a strike, this is going to be the next pitch. Or this is what I'm going to throw, and if I throw it for a ball, this will be the next pitch. Just to let them know that you're on the same page, so it goes a little quicker for the pitcher.
Santos was in spring training, but yeah, it's awfully tough for a guy who's not playing a lot to catch everybody during the spring. So there's still a learning curve going on. 2-1 to Maben. And there's a strike at the knees. Good movement on that pitch. 2-2.
Well, when you're struggling as a hitter, what are you doing? You're taking the pitches that you should be swinging at and swinging at the pitches you should be taking.
John Baker on deck. Well, Hernandez trying to put the inning to bed right here with a Meziga at second and 2 down. 2-2 to Cameron Maben. Just got a piece and ticked it off Santos.
Gary, also when you're talking about Omir Santos, this ball middle got away with that pitch. It hit Santos. It's probably easier for a young catcher to call a game by Oliver Perez, right? What do you call it? Fastball slider. That's it. With Hernandez, it's, you know, there's a Rolodex of things you can go to try to get hitters out.
Anybody use a Rolodex anymore?
I do. Yeah, I do. It's embarrassing. I'm sorry.
An old school guy.
No, I'm not old school. I'm just stuck to the Rolodex.
Ollie's next start will be on Saturday in Philadelphia for the Bill Webb special. Will face Jamie Moyer. Three and 2 to Maben. Grounded to the right side toward the hole. Cora gets it. Levon to cover. In time. He got him. Levon Hernandez racing to the bag to get the speedy Cameron Maben for the 4-1 putout as Cora hit him on the run and Levon just won the race to the bag. Nicely done to end the inning. Starters, Ricky Nolasco has gotten it somewhere near 95, and Levon Hernandez at 88. It's Levon who has the lead in the game, 3-0 as we go to the bottom of the third. And Gary Sheffield, who drove in the first 2 Met runs with a long triple, will lead off in the third. Thing about Sheffield, the batting average numbers may not be there right now, but watching him swing the bat, he still looks like the Gary Sheffield that we saw a few years ago. on the outside corner, 1-1.
I think the best way you describe Gary Sheffield is he's always dangerous. Almost like he's in scoring position every time he's up at the plate. And like most older hitters, he's a little vulnerable inside with the fastball, but still can cover that outside part.
Pops this one up to shallow right. Ugla going out. Ross calling him off. And that's the first out. By the way, Gary is not exactly a triples machine. That was his second triple in the last 5 years.
Well, one, he's the kind of hitter that if he hits it hard, it's out of the ballpark.
But I think it also brings up the point that, you know, you think about triples, you think about Jose Reyes and maybe Luis Castillo, guys who are going to be able to leg that ball out into 3 bases. But on this team in this ballpark, everybody's a candidate to hit a triple.
Well, Delgado has one. Sheffield has one.
When Ramon Castro has one, we'll really see some. Ball one to David Wright. But seriously, and I asked Jerry Manuel about this before the game today. I said, you know, is there a difference in the way that you approach things when you play in this ballpark? And he said, well, more than anything else, it's not about the triples. It's about things like we can go first to third more often in this park than we might be able to somewhere else.
Maybe score from first on a long single to right center field. Those kind of things they've talked about.
And those are the things you have to stay alert to. Wright went down looking his first time, and he takes the curveball for a strike, 1-2.
I think also you have a very aggressive third base coach in Razor Shine, so you better be ready to run at any time. Don't ever kind of believe that you know what's going on. He's going to try to push the envelope.
That curveball misses. And, you know, we've seen Mike Scioscia's style of managing in Anaheim over the last several years pay off. An Angels team that is always going to take the extra base. And you know, the Mets may not be built quite the same way, but in this park, you can be that kind of team and you can get extra runs that way as Wright goes down swinging at the fastball. So David's been fanned for the second time tonight.
Well, good fastball here by Nolasco, who can also turn it up a notch after all those breaking pitches. That's just a perfect pitch. It doesn't matter if you're a slump, not a slump, you're hitting well, not going to hit that pitch.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Ryan Church, who walked his first time up. And Velasco throws a slider for a strike.
And you know what Mike Scioscia told me also, and I said, you know, you guys go from first to third the best. You know, do you guys teach that? He goes, of course we teach that. He goes, you know why we go first to third? This is not because of our team speed, not even because we're being overly aggressive. Guys just don't throw the way they used to in the outfield. You know, we're talking about very few players take infield anymore. You don't have to see those throws from right field to the plate. You know, they might go a whole 2 weeks, 3 weeks without having to make a throw to the plate. So, of course, you're not going to be as accurate. So that's why he thinks they take the chances.
And I think that makes a lot of sense if you think about it in terms of the percentage of successful stolen bases that you deem to be advantageous. In other words, if you make it 3 out of 4, you're doing a great job stealing bases. Well, the same thing really applies in taking that extra base. And if you think about the number of times you see a right fielder throw a guy out at third base, it almost never happens. So it certainly appears to be a worthwhile gamble in most situations. One and two to Church. Hit to center field, and Maben right there waiting for it. And that retires the side. So Nolasco bounces back from 2 tough innings to get the Mets out 1-2-3. It's 3-0. Marlins concludes tomorrow afternoon with Johan Santana on the mound at 1:10 p.m. Great place, great seats, and a great time. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your printed home tickets now. John Baker leads off the 4th inning for Florida. Livan Hernandez has allowed just 1 hit over the first 3 innings. Baker grounded out to Alex Cora his first time up. Baker moved into the number 3 slot tonight with Hanley Ramirez sitting out. And if you sit today, if you're Hanley Ramirez, do you want to talk your way back into the lineup tomorrow against Santana?
Well, think about it. Jerry Manuel talked to saying that Delgado, he wanted to give him an extra day tomorrow because there's a day off.
Day off on Thursday.
Day off on Thursday gets him an extra day.
And of course, while the Mets will have their ace going tomorrow in Santana, the Marlins will have theirs going as well. Josh Johnson, who hooked up in a great duel with Santana down in Florida, that 2-1 game that was decided by the Murphy error. Johan has been nothing short of brilliant in all 4 of his starts this year.
So you're saying there might be some Santana-itis out there? Where
it wouldn't be the first time that somebody decided to take an extra day to duck an ace like that. 0-2 to Baker, off the plate, 1-2. Jorge Cantu to follow, and then Jeremy Hermida. 3, 4, and 5 in the order for the Marlins here in the 4th. We mentioned the Marlins' struggles. The Marlins have lost 7 straight games after beginning the year 11-1. In those 7 games, their team batting average is 199. And after averaging 6.4 runs per game in their 11-1 start, they're at 2.4 in the 7 losses. Just inside 3 and 2. So while they've lost some games in the bullpen and their starters have pitched pretty well up and down the line, it's the offense has been the big difference in the losing streak. You see the numbers, especially with runners in scoring position. Just outside, ball 4, and so Hernandez loses Baker to a leadoff walk. Well, last night we had the new Jets quarterback in the booth with us, Mark Sanchez. Tonight, the Jets' new coach, Rex Ryan, is standing by with Kevin Burkhardt.
Well, you know, Gary, it isn't just the home of the Mets. SNY is the home of the Jets as well. And here is the new coach, Rex Ryan. We had Mark Sanchez here, as Gary said. His pitch, let's hope his throws are a little bit better. Did you critique that first pitch?
Yeah, well, I mean, the pitch was definitely high and out of the strike zone, even if we stretch the strike zone a little bit. But I can promise you he can throw the pigskin a lot better than he can the horse side. So I think we're okay there.
You were telling me that you would come to games at Shea. Your dad, of course, was coaching in New York. What do you remember about those days?
Ooh, I remember they had a great pitching staff. I mean, they had Tom Seaver, Jerry Kuzman, Jerry Gentry. They had all those guys. Tug McGraw out of the bullpen. But no, it was great. I mean, I saw Rusty Staub out here today, and I can remember when he played for the Mets. So I go back a few years, I guess.
You come in and take over and just have brought a totally different feel to this Jets team. It's open, it's fun, and that's your personality. How do you where's the cutoff line? You can show that and have fun in public, and the guys can have fun, but how do you make that cutoff and that switch to then turning it on for the game?
Sunday. Yeah. That's when it is. That's when we're all business. We know how important it is. We're all about the the wins, and we know it's all business come Sunday. But up until that point, and even in the games, we're going to play loose, but we're certainly going to play focused, and we know we have a responsibility to ourselves. And that's trouble right there.
It is deep from Cantu. Sheffield back, and it is gone. A 2-run home run for Jorge Cantu, and the Marlins get on the board against Livan Hernandez. It's now 3-2 Mets.
A little hiccup right there.
And the ball is thrown back onto the field, Coach. I know you appreciate that. Talk about, of course, you were behind this Ravens defense, and they've been great for a number of years. And it seems with that, there hasn't been a lot of offense down there in Baltimore. Flacco was great this year, but do you talk about that as a defensive coordinator? Do you say, hey, we may not get a lot of points, and that's how we have to play?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's always, when I was the defense coordinator, it's our responsibility to keep them out of the end zone. And generally, we felt if we can hold a team without scoring a touchdown, we'd win. And that wasn't always the case, but it was, pretty much when you go back and look at it. You know, and it's was it realistic to expect that from our guys? I think it was. I think last year in Baltimore we never gave up more than 13 points at home. So I think that was pretty good. And if you do that, you're going to win a lot of games. And I think we have that kind of talent here on our defense, and we've got an incredible coaching staff that I was fortunate enough to surround myself with. So we're very confident in our players, our coaches, and the entire organization. So we have no excuses. We expect to have a great season next year.
What are you looking forward to most about this whole experience? It seems like you've certainly enjoyed it to this point.
Just let's get it on. I mean, the fun part is going to be all the preparation and all that. That's tough work, but you're rewarded on Sundays, and that's the way we're approaching it.
We look forward to it, Coach Ryan. Thanks for the time, and enjoy the game. Okay.
All right, my pleasure.
Looking to see a little defense, guys, at Jets game. I think you will find it. That's for sure. Back up to you.
Well, you referenced his dad, Buddy Ryan, who, of course, was a member of Lee Bugak's staff when the Jets won the Super Bowl 40 years ago. Here's the Cantu home run.
That same fastball that he's trying to start off the plate and work it back over that outside corner that caught too much plate. It's the longest home run I've seen so far here at Citi Field.
Well, the advertising signs at the front of that second deck in left field. Hermida pulls one right to Cora, and that's the first out of the inning. So one away. Mets now with a 3-2 lead. A leadoff walk to Baker, hurting Livan Hernandez after he had gotten ahead of Baker 0-2, and then the home run by Cantu.
Yeah, it seems home plate umpire shrunk that strike zone a little bit, and Livan still trying to test it. Got behind, walked John Baker, and then of course that pitch to Cantu, his 5th home run he's given up so far this season.
Cantu's 4th of the year, which is pretty remarkable for a guy who's playing with a hand and wrist that is still giving him a lot of trouble. As Ugla takes high for ball 1. Ugla grounded into a force play his first time up. Wheats on it and hits it to right center, chasing Beltran back. And there are 2 out. Why would you ever throw a fastball to Ugla? Just throw him breaking stuff, right?
Yeah, well, the problem is that if you hang something in the inside part, he can hit that out too. So down and away is good for Ugla, though.
Saw John Main have success against Ugla last night using his slider away. And leave on the same thing. So 2 out and nobody on. Here's Cody Ross, who went down looking his first time up. This weather has been phenomenal. I'm afraid it's going to change for tomorrow.
What do you got, clouds going? We got something coming in?
It's going to be a lot cooler tomorrow. Maybe a couple of sprinkles. Curveball hit hard and just foul. But I'm just advising you to dress a little warmer tomorrow. That's all.
Well, when I think about it in this way. As you see this little guy having fun with his brother, that's awesome. To me, as a baseball person, don't want to waste any of Santana's starts. Have a bad weather day where you can't have him go his usual 6, 7, 8, or 9.
Here's the 0-2 off the outside corner. But you know what? If the Mets are ever going to throw a no-hitter, it's going to be on a cold, kind of wet Wednesday afternoon in April.
Really?
Don't you think?
So I get prepared? I'll have the numbers
I'm not
going.
saying it's going to happen tomorrow. I'm just saying if it ever is going to happen, that's the kind of day it's going to be. It's not going to be a warm, night in July like when Tom Seaver retired the first 25 and there were 57,000 people at Shea. It's going to be one of those small games, one of those midweek day games with not so nice weather.
It doesn't matter. People will still say they were there.
Of course. 150,000 if it ever happens. 1-2 to Ross. Low and away, 2-2. This will be Livan's 70th pitch of the night. And the slider misses away, and it's 3-2. So Hernandez has lacked that put away pitch in this inning.
You know what's happened for him is that he's gotten into kind of the outside corner mode. Hasn't been able to throw too much inside, so the hitters are taking that pitch that's real close.
That one dribbled up the third baseline foul. He rolled over that slider.
See, what happens if you stay on one side of the plate, what happens is that the hitters are just trained. Their eyes are, they get narrower and narrower, and all they can see is that outside pitch, and they know exactly what's a strike and what's off the plate. But if you throw something inside, you stand them up, and all of a sudden that eyesight that they had on the outside corner is gone. They have to work back into that again.
Now, can you do that on 3 and 2?
Can't do it on 3 and 2. You got to still stay away.
And he does, and Ross fouls that one off.
And it's only because of the kind of pitcher that Livan is at this point in his career. If you're throwing 92 miles an hour, yes, you can definitely go inside.
Well, breeze picking up as the front starts to make its way through.
The front.
This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat to Ross. Grounded to short. Reyes on the backhand. Knocked down. Picks it up. And he got it. Just enough time to recover it and make the play. So Livan Hernandez gets the next 3 hitters after the home run by Cantu. Off the front of the second deck. Cuts the Met lead to a single run. It's 3-2 New York. Well, before the game today, Johan Santana, who will be pitching tomorrow, was doing a little coaching.
But what he's trying to say, he's showing that Oliver is falling back when he goes to the plate. You don't want to be there. You want to have that hip solid so you can work off that brace, and then you want to take when you're off of that brace, and you want to have your face going straight to the catcher. You want to make sure that you have this little tunnel that you're going straight to the catcher instead of side to side. This right here is he's telling them, get your arm up in front of your body, not behind it. Behind it, you'll never be able to throw a strike. In front of you, always can throw a strike. Great work there by Santana and Dan Worthen.
Fernando Tatis leads off the home fourth. Now, what do you mean when you say brace? What does that mean?
What he's trying to do is that what happens for Oliver is that he has this way of when he gets up to the top, he's drifting. And when he drifts, he spins out away from the plate and almost comes backwards. Can't do that. What he has to do is stay braced, don't drift, and then work off this real solid base and then take this straight to the plate.
So you're
not here.
Once his knee comes up, he needs to stay solid rather than moving forward.
Don't move forward. Just stay solid right there and then take everything, all that inertia, and go straight to the plate. Not this way, not spinning around, because that just works against your pitches. And the whole key about having your hand in front of you, if you have it here, you can never catch up. The ball's always up and away. Have it in front of you, you can dictate where the pitch goes. Inside, outside, up, down.
One and two to Tatis, leading off the bottom of the fourth. And it's off the plate, 2-2. Now, Ollie's had a lot of pitching coaches and a lot of instruction over the years. And clearly he's heard this message before. Is it just a matter of hearing it from the right voice?
I think the right voice is definitely going to be Dan Worthen's because of Dan's experience. But every fifth day, he gets to see the mirror image of what he would like to be. And if he just takes that in his mind and go, you know what, it's not too bad just to copy that number 57 and watch him every fifth day how he goes about his business. And it's not about, for Oliver,
Tatis strokes one foul.
You know, he's going to throw on the side. He's going to have his warm-ups, all that kind of stuff. But the key about Oliver, I think, is if he can get it and keep it real simple, then he gets to a point where he can be like Santana. You know what Santana does on his day? He's just the most competitive person on the field. And when you get to that point, boy, the game becomes fun. Not going to always win, but the game becomes really fun. At some point when you watch Santana, he's telling every hitter, I am the biggest, baddest dude on the block. I just want you to know that. It's fun to watch.
Curveball pulled down to third. And Bonifacio makes the toss in time to get Tatis one away. Now Omir Santos, who singled and scored his first time up. Santos is now hitting 6 straight games. Well, the good news for Oliver, not only is he getting coached by Johan Santana and Dan Worthen, but his next start will be against the team that he has fared the best against. That Phillies team with all those great left-hand hitters. Santos takes ball 1.
Well, just like I think John Maine had his start last night against a team he traditionally does well against. I think this team sets up nicely for Livan tonight. But also I think there's I don't know, an immediacy in fans and media and everyone's reaction that something has to be done with Oliver. Well, what exactly are you going to do with him? You have signed him to a long-term contract because you can believe he's going to be one important part of your starting rotation. You know, he's got to be in there, and you got to pitch him.
Grounded down to third, and Bonifacio fields it, but it's a foul ball. Santos running it out. Well, the reaction has come from outside, but it's also come from inside. I mean, Jerry Manuel's made it pretty clear that he's rather disgusted and that there's a rather short leash there. Not that there are a whole lot of other options of what to do with Oliver if you didn't start him.
My thing is, Oliver, for me, is hard not to root for because he's an earnest guy. No one goes out there and wants to pitch poorly. Not anyone I've ever met in the game.
Santos chases a pitch, and he's a strikeout victim, the 4th for Ricky Nolasco. Well, Oliver doesn't pitch till Saturday, but tomorrow the ace takes the hill, and it has become a very special event every time Johan Santana pitches. Tomorrow he'll be matched up against the Marlins ace Josh Johnson, their second hookup of the 2009 season. Santana against Johnson, 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon here at Citi Field and here on SNY. Here's Livan Hernandez, who sacrificed his first time up.
Josh Johnson said something that I've never heard a pitcher say before, a young pitcher anyway. He said having the arm surgery taught him how to work out. He shed the 30 or 40 pounds he had on his frame before, and that he feels like he is just a much better acclimated to pitching now physically than he ever was before.
Well, he certainly throws harder than he did before.
It's like the $6 million man, right? They've completely rebuilt him.
Livan holds the swing, and he stopped it in time. Scott Berry with the call down at first, 1-2.
Looks like he did, right? Livan likes that ball up in the strike zone, but
9 home runs in his career. Takes that slider away, and it's 2-2.
Here's Josh Johnson. That's where you want to be if you're pitching next day. Watch the hitters. Try to see where they're hitting the ball, where their strengths are, weaknesses. You can see a lot on the bench.
2-2 from Nolasco, and it's foul back.
What I mean by that, everyone is into watching the video. You can see a guy swing and he's frustrated, or you can tell that he doesn't like that pitch, or those are the kind of things you can see on the bench you can't see in the video as much.
And a long turn at bat here for Levon, building up Nolasco's pitch count. This will be the 7th pitch of the at bat. And he lifts one to right. Ross playing toward the line is able to get there to end the inning. That's 7 in a row retired by Ricky Nolasco after a difficult start. We go to the 5th, 3-2 New York. We'll remember all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. Day game tomorrow, Santana against Johnson, 1 o'clock. Day off Thursday, and then the first series of the year with the Phillies Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday afternoon. Then 2 games in Atlanta before the Mets come home to play the Phillies. So 5 games in 7 days against Philadelphia, starting on Friday night. And don't forget, if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN with our buddies Howie and Wayne. Here's Alfredo Amezaga, who singled to center his first time up. One of only 2 hits off Levon Hernandez. The other was a home run by Jorge Cantu that accounted for the 2 runs. There's Howie.
Someone's been trying to contact me because I was supposed to do something for them, and we're trying to get the right time to do it. So I've been doing back and forth email. So finally, when we decided on the time, I said, put it in the books. The person wrote back, what does that mean? Obviously not a Met fan.
Obviously not. Didn't know that was the completion of the conversation.
That's right.
Ricky Nolasco on deck, and then Emilio Bonifacio as Amezaga thinks about a bunt, and it's 2-1. Alfredo Amezaga, an all-purpose utility guy for Freddie Gonzalez. Got to stay hydrated. 80 degrees. Cora gets over and tosses out Amezaga, 1 away. So 1 out and nobody on. That's a very neat scorecard. Very impressive. Ricky Nolasco coming up. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt.
Guys, Ricky Nolasco is a Southern California guy, and I was talking to him about some of the things he does in the offseason. He has a little different hobby than probably you or I. He's into dune buggies, and he spends a lot of money on his, which is worth somewhere upwards of $75,000. And he's really serious. He and a bunch of friends go out in the deserts of Southern California, which is a huge area, and basically they'll go out for 3-4 days, camp out, and they race and they hang out and they do their thing. His dune buggy is no joke. It's got a 500 horsepower motor. It's got like a Corvette motor in it, and he loves it. He said he was always brought up that way. He was always brought up on dirt bikes and things like that, so he's got a little bit of grease monkey in him, if you will. He loves the engines and things, but yeah, that's his passion, guys. A little different than everyone else.
I don't mean to throw a monkey wrench into Ricky's dune buggy, but don't most players have contracts that prohibit them from activities like that? As Levon strikes out Nolasco for the second out.
Yeah, Kevin's getting a call on his cell phone from Larry Beinfest right now.
The Marlins general manager, who I'm sure is aware of Ricky's hobby.
He is now.
Well, who knew that Jim Lonborg liked to ski, or that Aaron Boone liked to play basketball?
That's right.
2 out and nobody on. As you look at the grip for Hernandez, Bonifacio steps in and runs up and takes a strike.
$82 pitches so far. That's a good ratio for Levon, 49-33.
There's a strike, and it's 0-2. Levon pitched well against the Marlins his first time around, and replicating that here tonight. Bonifacio down looking, and the inning is over. 5 strikeouts for Levon Hernandez. Second time he's gotten Bonifacio. Halfway through, 3-2 New York.
Double play, and the Mets infield was mighty friendly in 1978. For sure, the defense sparkled, but when it came to double play action, the Mets were extra sharp, turning it over 160 times, the second best mark in the league.
Always good to see Mike Phillips in the middle of that double play.
Mike Phillips was Doug Flynn, the second baseman there. First baseman, John Milner.
Yep. No, was it Milner?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
At least in one of those pictures.
And the shortstop Tavares, maybe, or no? I don't know who's turning that.
Frankie
78.
There in 78. Frankie might have been 79. Might have been there 78. In any event, we don't usually show highlights from those years. As Reyes lays down a bunt, Bonifacio in quickly to glove it and throw him out. And Bonifacio has such good speed to come in and get the equally speedy Reyes.
Well, you forget that speed can work on defense also. He closes this gap so much that really it's an easy toss to first base. Reyes not even close. When's the last time you saw Reyes lay down a really good bunt and it's not bang bang?
This is interesting too, because in this series so far we've seen that the Marlins have Reyes scouted as far as his bunting. They're playing the third baseman in, but they're playing the first baseman back. And you know, obviously if Reyes would drag a bunt down to first base, he'd have a little better crack given that alignment.
That's a tougher art, bringing that ball with you to the first baseman, because what you want to do is you want to get it past the pitcher on the way to the second baseman Ugla and then beat the ball to the bag, but that's a little more difficult bunt.
Alex Cora has been aboard twice tonight with a walk and a single to center. He's stolen a base. He's scored a run. Cora getting a chance to play tonight after Luis Castillo came out last night with muscle spasms in his back. And Castillo might be able to play tomorrow. He's more precaution tonight to keep him out of the lineup. It's less likely that Delgado will be back tomorrow. Jerry Manuel said in all likelihood he will sit tonight and tomorrow, and hopefully be able to play Friday. If you look at Velasco's pitch count. Velasco's bounced back nicely from a rough beginning. He's retired 8 in a row now.
Jerry said something very interesting. He said that if he takes out a player in the middle of the game, very rarely will he play that player the next day. He always feels as if you have to come out of a game, you at least need 24 hours of rest before you can play again. Because Castillo said he could possibly play.
Remember where he made an exception to that rule? First game that he managed, he took Reyes out.
That's right.
In animated fashion, and Reyes was back in the next day. But that was a very important event and a great break for Jerry, I thought, as a manager, to have that happen. The first batter of his first game as manager in Anaheim.
That was that old, there's a new sheriff in town.
Reyes had tweaked something, running out a ball down to first base, and Jerry erred on the side of caution, took him out of the game. Reyes got a little animated about it, but they talked about it later in the game. Everything cooled down, and it's been cool ever since. 3-2 now to Cora. Alex has already worked 2 or 3 terrific at bats in this game, and we saw the same thing last week when he got the start in St. Louis. 3-2 from Velasco. Hit in the air along the right field line. Long run for Ross. Gets over, but has to play it on a hop. Jumps up high to get it. Cora heads for second. Ross's throw is offline. Backed up nicely by Bonifacio to keep Cora from going to third. So it's a pop fly double by Cora, and he is 2 for 2.
Well, watch this throw. Awry can't be made by Mezga. Nice job. Oh, here's the double first, though. Ross makes a nice play getting to get off that wall, but makes an errant throw. A nice job by Bonifacio with that speed. Again in Velasco, the pitcher, covering third base. So everyone in position for these defensive challenged Marlins.
Second extra base hit of the season for Cora.
Just another really good aggressive play by Cora. He's got the second base on a wild pitch. He's stolen a base. Now he's pushed the envelope to get in scoring position.
So now Carlos Beltran, who's 1 for 2, single to right and scored a run in the first, lined out to left. The ball Hermida had to jump for to keep it from going over his head in the second. And Carlos watches wide. 1-0. Beltran hitting very well with runners in scoring position. Heck, he's hitting well in just about every situation, leading the league in batting, leading the league in on-base percentage as well. Gary Sheffield on deck. He drove in the first 2 Met runs tonight with a triple. And Velasco behind on Beltran, 2-0. That's got 2 in the first and 1 in the second. Velasco had settled in before that fly ball double by Cora. And now they're going to walk Beltran intentionally after falling behind 2-0. So they'll face Sheffield instead with 2 men on.
Well, pick your poison. Do you pitch to the guy leading the league in batting average, or do you go against a guy who already has a triple on the board against you?
And, oh, by the way, 500 home runs. So Nolasco will face Sheffield with first and second and one out. First, Mike Wiley will take a visit to the mound to talk it over with Nolasco. If you're Mark Wiley and Freddie Gonzalez, you want your starters in the game as long as you can possibly keep them in, because the bullpen for the Marlins has been something of a crapshoot. It is definitely not their strength. Their starting rotation is.
Well, Anibal Sanchez did a nice job last night, as you don't see anyone warming up. But Freddie's on the phone. Sanchez gave up 6 in the first and lasted 6 innings. Nice job by him. And it's that young rotation. Volstad and Johnson the best so far.
Not pictured there, Andrew Miller, who's hurt right now. Graham Taylor took his spot that last time around in the rotation. So now Sheffield. Mets leading 3-2. Gary hit a long fly ball to the wall in left center that Maben couldn't run down. It went for a 2-run triple back in the first. Then he flied to right in the third. Badenhop up in the bullpen. Bert Badenhop. Nolasco takes a look back at Cora. Nobody coming in to cover. Cora's already stolen a base tonight. Got a great jump off first base against Nolasco. So paying him a little more attention now. So now Sheffield, the former Florida Marlin, takes a slider for ball one. Gary was part of the 1997 World Series championship team with Florida. That was a team of all-stars. Yeah. Moving away, and that slider on the corner, 1-1. David Wright waiting to follow. One to Sheffield. There's a strike with a fastball. Good pitch by Nolasco, and it's 1-2.
Still to this day, Sheffield does not like the ball rushing inside. Perfect pitch by Nolasco, down and on that inside corner. See how he takes it? Sheff really feels that ball's inside even when it's on the corner.
One-two. Pops out of the middle of Baker, but he's right on it. 2-2. And Nolasco wants a conversation.
Well, this is one of those times that a young pitcher, the pitch to throw here is to go back in. It's obvious Sheffield does not want that fastball inside. But as a young pitcher, guy has 500 home runs. You're a little weary of going in there 3 times, so you might see a slider here, which plays into Sheffield's wheelhouse.
Two and two to Sheffield. Breaking ball. Did he go? He went around. Strike 3. Couldn't stop the swing on the curveball. And that's the second out of the inning. 5 strikeouts now for Ricky Nolasco.
Well, nice job by Nolasco. First pitch, he didn't get ahead, slider down, but the next one was perfect, right on the corner. Then he went fastball for a strike in, tried to double up, but missed, and then did the right things. Threw it in the dirt. Sheffield couldn't keep the bat back.
So now there are 2 out and 2 on, and here's David Wright. David had a nice night at the plate last night with a couple of hits, including a triple. that he hit to dead center field, but tonight he has struck out twice, looking in the first, swinging in the third. And David takes the breaking ball for a strike. Velasco's broken off some nice nasty pitches to right tonight.
He's got great stuff. Sometimes you learn more about these pitchers when they're pitching from behind, what kind of grit and determination they have, than when they're having one of those A games.
So the numbers have gone down for David. The bigger the spot. Inside, and it's 1-1. Struggled last year with runners in scoring position, and even more so this year. Bobby Parnell up in the bullpen. Livan Hernandez, 84 pitches through 5 innings, and a 3-2 lead. 1-1 to right. And the breaking ball hit toward the hole. Base hit into left field. Here comes Cora to score. It's an RBI single for David Wright, and it's 4-2 New York. There's a big 2-out hit for David.
As David watches the at-bat on the vision, the one thing about Velasco is that he went to the well once too often. All curveballs to right, an occasional fastball with 2 strikes. What happens when you throw that curveball, you're not going to throw them all perfect, and this one stays on the inside part of the plate. Anything that's breaking on the inside part of the plate and down, David is going to cover. Mets with another run.
So now Ryan Church with 2 out and 2 on. Church has walked and flied to center, 0 for 1. And that curveball misses 1-0.
Well, you got to hit your spots. When you don't hit them, that's how you're going to get hurt. Down and away is where he wants it. Middle and up, and we've seen this from Velasco. When he's on, but the pitches he's missed, and the reason the Mets have 4 runs is everyone has been up in the strike zone.
Church watches the fastball on the outside edge, 1-1. Well, David's run batted in his 8th of the year. And so the Mets take advantage of the Cora double. Cora's had a good night at the plate, in the field. And now Baker and Velasco need another conversation.
Well, this is because Velasco and Baker, I think, they want to change the signs because you get the veteran Beltran on second base. And also, as a starting pitcher, you know this is kind of last chance saloon here. Can't allow any more runs this late in the game.
1-1 to Church with 2 men on.
Crossed up there was Baker. He should go out there and talk to Velasco. Instead, one of those moments maybe for a young player, you're embarrassed. You don't want to go back out there again.
How can you get crossed up after you just had a meeting at the mound?
Not only catchers, and the pitchers make mistakes on the pitchers, catchers can too sometimes.
2-1 to Church. Lifted in the air to right field, and right there is Cody Ross waiting for it to come down. That'll do it for the Mets in the bottom of the 5th, but a 2-out RBI hit for David Wright extends the Mets lead. for tonight, who's the only manager to lead his team to 5 consecutive World Series. And it happened in New York. Maben lays down the bunt. Levon on it. Safe. Maben using his speed. He's been struggling with the bat, and he beats out the bunt hit.
Well, this young man can run from the right side. Levon does everything you're supposed to do. Fields it barehanded, and he does just beat it.
Well, the Marlins get the leadoff man on for the 4th time in 6 innings. Livan Hernandez has spent a good portion of this game pitching out of the stretch. Now he'll take on the number 3 hitter John Baker, who drew a leadoff walk in the 4th inning. 0 for 1. Third time around the batting order has been difficult for Livan Hernandez, and Jerry Manuel has made a point that they want to expose him as little as possible to that 3rd and 4th time around the order. And it's a strike to Baker, 0-1.
I would say that unless Baker hits into a double play, that I think this will be his last batter.
Bobby Parnell, the right-hander, Pedro Feliciano, the left-hander. You've got the right-handed Cantu on deck and the left-handed Hermida behind him. Of course, Cantu hit the home run last time up against Livan. And Baker takes the fastball off the plate, 1-1. Coming into this start, the 3rd time around the batting order and beyond, hitters were hitting .500 against Livan. I guess the question is that about that he doesn't have great stamina, or is it just about the weapons that he has become a little bit easier to detect after seeing him a couple of times?
Yeah, it's absolutely not the stamina, because he's still throwing the same. I think the problem is that he's limited his pitches. He's become really a fastball kind of slider pitcher. We've only seen one Bugs Bunny curveball. And the other thing about it is if you don't establish in to the righties or lefties, then you've limited yourself on both hitters to half the plate. And if you're only pitching to half the plate and you are a control pitcher, you've got to be so precise. So anytime you do make a mistake, you get hurt.
And so that's why the bullpen is on call and ready to go. 2-1. Baker fouls off the changeup, and it's 2-2. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Budweiser, the great American lager. Livan about to throw his 90th pitch of the night, working with a 4-2 lead in the 6th. Baker, the tying run at the plate. Two-two, just missed, and a full count to Baker.
Well, he's trying to get Baker to fish off the plate or get a call, and Baker's got such a good eye. And now you're going to have to face a guy who's done some damage.
Cantu on deck. See if Maben runs here. 3-2 and nobody out. Livan has struck out 5. Maben not going. Check swing, tapper down to third. Right. Wide throw, and they say Cora was on the bag. He then drops the throw as he tried to hold it up, but the second base umpire Mike DeMuro said Cora did have the ball on the bag for the first out.
Well, this throw kind of sails a little bit on David, but nice job by Cora. Boy, that was a close call. Let's see if his left foot was on. But you know how sometimes you give him in the neighborhood play.
Yeah, it looked like he had it.
I think he had it. That left foot stayed just long enough. Yeah, it's on.
It's an acrobatic move by Cora for the out. He had the ball and the toe on the bag. That's going to be it for Livan Hernandez. Citi Field crowd appreciative of Livan's effort. And so Bobby Parnell will come out of the bullpen. Your Lincoln Mercury call to the bullpen. Mets protecting a 4-2 lead in the 6th. Livan Hernandez, who leads after 5 1/3, leads with a 4-2 lead and a runner aboard for Bobby Parnell, who will come on to face Jorge Cantu, who hit a 2-run homer his last time up. Tying run at the plate, and Cantu takes in tight for ball 1.
His 11th game. You just saw by that first pitch, fastball in. Just the opposite how Livan pitched Cantu. It'll be interesting to see if Parnell pounds him in again.
Santos moves away this time, and the fastball is up. And Parnell behind 2-0. Cantu's had a couple of at-bats against Parnell, 0 for 2 against him. But Bobby Parnell has quickly established himself as Jerry Manuel's go-to guy in the 6th and 7th innings. But now he's behind on Cantu, 3-0.
Just the home run he hit in the 4th inning, of course. Long home run off the facing here at Citi Field. Frustrated Livan Hernandez. And he likes him in the 6th and 7th inning because he throws strikes. But here, behind 3-0.
A rarity for Parnell. Right down the middle, and it's 3-1. Jeremy Hermida, the left-hand hitter, on deck. Behind him is Dan Uggla. 3-1 to Cantu. Foul tip. 3-2.
Well, that's a big break right there. Cantu trying to turn it up a notch with this good fastball. Swings the ball up and out of the strike zone.
Parnell bringing heat. 3-2 with 1 out. Baker at first, not going. Cantu lines one, left field, base hit. Baker stops at second, and so Cantu is now 2 for 2. And the tying runs are on base for Hermida. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin, the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Well, if the Phils win tonight and the Marlins lose, the Phils would go into first place. Mets and Phillies this weekend at Citizens Bank Park. So here's Hermida with 2 aboard and 1 out. Hermida has popped up and grounded out 0 for 2. And he takes a strike. Hermida has not done much with runners in scoring position, and for that matter, neither have his teammates during this 7-game losing streak. They're hitting 170 as a team with runners in scoring position. Grounded to third, off the body of right, trickling behind him. Baker turns third. Reyes recovers. The throw to the plate. Santos with a tag. He's safe. He got around the tag. Baker scores to cut the Met lead to 4-3. Hot shot that went off right. And Bo Porter aggressively waving Baker home. And they get the run.
Oh, not only was it a hot shot, it took a bad hop also. Nice play by Reyes backing up. Perfect throw on the run. Baker wide, though, just gets underneath the tag from Santos. That foot looked like it just got in underneath Omir's tag. Let's see. Well, it's hard. Umpire running across from us. But very aggressive play by the Marlins. Baker, of course, does not have a ton of speed. The Porter's sending them anyway.
They have charged an error on David Wright on that play.
They'll take it back. That's ridiculous.
That's Bill Shannon, who's, you know, the ace official scorer here.
I love
Very
Bill.
surprised at that.
That ball was a rocket, and it took a bad hop, too.
So, no RBI for Hermida. Now Dan Uggla with the tying run at second base. And Uggla pops one foul, 0-1. Uggla's 0 for 2. He's hitting to a fielder's choice and flied out. Mets bullpen has been outstanding. Parnell, though, giving up the hit to Cantu, and what is scored an error for Hermida. Here's that play again.
Boy, that's a close call.
I think he got the foot in there, though. Time asked for it just as Parnell was ready to release the ball. It's the second time we've seen that in this game.
Well, that one's tougher because the hitter's backing up out of the box and the umpire gave him time. What you need to do as a hitter is say time, and then he gives it to you. Back out. A lot of umpires will just let the pitcher come to the plate.
One and one to Uggla.
Well, here's our freeze cam. The freeze cam, Coors Light. He's tagged. That toe's on the plate.
I love the way they can move that freeze cam now.
That is beautiful.
It's a new element in the Coors Light freeze cam this year.
Well, Jerry Mills would love to have those 18 looks we just had. But good call anyway by Jerry.
1-1 to Uggla. There's a strike from Parnell. 1-2. 96 on the fastball. Cody Ross, the number 7 hitter, waits on deck. Tying and lead runs on base for the Marlins. 1-2 to the dangerous Dan Uggla, and it's low and away. 2-2.
That's one of the first times I've seen Parnell all season long overthrowing just a bit. A little sticky situation here. Wants to punch out. Take a ground ball, though.
Wynn continues to kick up. Two-two to Uggla, and that's low. Ball 3. This all began with a bunt single by Cameron Maben, and you see those flags starting to really riffle. Wind blowing out. Although once that wind gets inside the ballpark, everything seems to go in 17 different directions. Swirling winds, much like we had at Shea Stadium. Got a strikeout pitcher on the mound, so you wouldn't expect Freddie Gonzalez to send the runners here with 3 and 2 and 1 out. Uggla strikes out a lot. 3-2 on the way. Pulled foul. He's ready for that fastball and got ahead of it.
Well, it's a bad situation because you got Uggla, who's a notorious fastball hitter. You got a 3-2 count. You got to throw a strike. Parnell's best pitch is a fastball.
So where do you want to throw it against Uggla?
You want to keep it down and away if you can. That way you'll keep him in the park at least. Got a chance at a ground ball.
Cantu at second, Hermida at first, 1 out. Mets clinging to a 1-run lead in the 6th. 3-2. Uggla lines one toward the left field corner, but it goes foul. And again, he got out ahead of it.
Well, he's got those real short arms that it's hard to get inside on Uggla. Anything inside, he's going to cover. Got to make him reach a little bit. Back inside, so quick in there.
Papers and plastic bags blowing all around the outfield. Time of night where if the ball goes up in the air, you're not exactly sure where it's going to go. Again, the 3-2 to Uggla. Popped it up. Beltran will watch it through the swirling wind and stays with it for the second out. And the runners return. So 2 out and 2 on as Parnell wins the battle from Uggla, and now he'll deal with Cody Ross. Ross tonight has taken a call third strike and grounded out to short. Nice play by Jose Reyes to knock it down and recover in time to throw him out. John Green up in the Mets bullpen as Parnell tries to put the finishing touches on the top of the 6th. Here's Ross, and he fouls the first pitch fastball back, 0-1. Parnell is a guy at this point in his career is just going to challenge you most of the time.
Well, it's going to help that he's going through some of these teams, maybe for the second or third time. They don't know him very well. That'll change as it gets later in the season.
Mixes in the slider, and it's 0-2.
Good one there by Parnell. 95-mile-an-hour heat, and then just a little slider, not much. This is where you want to take a chance if you're going to throw an 0-2. Throwing it about neck high. See if you chase.
Foul. Alfredo Amezaga waiting for a turn on deck. To the Ross. In there for a call, strike 3. So Parnell minimizes the damage in the 6th. The Marlins get an unearned run. The Mets hold on to the lead.
The fastball in the corner gets Cody Ross, and the Mets have the lead as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning here at Citi Field. I'm with a couple of pretty important men here in New York City sports. General Manager of the Mets, Omar Minaya. General Manager of the Jets, it's Mike Tannenbaum. And when you think about Mike, you know, the GMs in this city and all the scrutiny and all the pressure. First thing is, you know, you guys are here in the suite tonight. You're enjoying a little baseball, a little relaxation for you. How often do you all talk?
You know, I have nothing but all the respect in the world for Omar. Does a great job. The entire organization's first class. So, you know, I always try to pick his brain and exchange ideas when we can.
Oh, I know you're a sports fan. So will you pick the brain of Mike tonight a little bit about how he went about making that trade for Sanchez and things like that?
We talk about the different sports, talk about football, how things are done, and how baseball is done. I'm one that's big on just talking to the different executives because we can all learn from each other. And being in New York, you know, football, baseball, whatever sport it is, you always try to learn something.
What is the biggest challenge, Mike, of being in this city and doing your job?
Well, you know, we have a great fan base, very demanding, but it's also very exciting. So it's another challenge to compete in the NFL and to add New York City to it. You know, our organization looks at it as a great opportunity.
You know, Omar, you know, and talking about the challenges in this city, in this town, I mean, there's a lot of pressure. Mike mentioned fans. There's people like ourselves. There's talk radio. There's print. There's every move you do is scrutinized.
And that's fine. That's great. That's why you know, you know, the fact is that it's sports. There's a lot of things that are going on in the world that are very, you know, important, interesting. People go to sports to get away from other stuff, and people want to have opinion on whatever moves we make. I totally understand that, and that's what makes our jobs fun. We're in the public eye, and I know that Mike feels the same way. If somebody has an opinion about what we do, I think that just creates interest, and the fact that baseball is being talked about, football is being talked about, I think it's good for everybody.
Tatis grounds out to start the inning. Mike, one more. So when you're, you know, when you're here or when you're home, when you're looking in the paper, when the Mets make a move, do you call up Omar? Omar, what were you thinking on that one?
Hey, I'm just hoping we protect this one-run lead. You know, I feel good about what's going on here tonight, and I think they'll have a great year.
Which of these Met players would you take on the Jets right now?
Well, I like David Wright. You know, I think versatility. I think we could find a role for him.
You know, Sanchez threw the first pitch last night. He's a little high, but Rex Ryan earlier today said that the footballs would be throwing a little bit better.
I watched him throw that pitch, and I know all the players watched him throw that pitch. I congratulated Mike on that draft. I told him, hey, I know if you guys drafted him, it was the right thing. You guys did your, due diligence in getting this. And it's exciting for New York to be able to have a guy from a star quarterback like that from a big school like USC. Look, hey, we got a great team with the Giants, and now the Jets are going out there. I know they're trying the best they can to win for their fans.
Well, guys, a couple of GMs who, by the way, pulled off a couple big trades in the offseason, in case you missed it. Guys, good luck to both of you. Guys, back to you in the booth.
That is a very small fraternity. And by the way, if I'm Mike Tannenbaum, I'm taking Johan Santana, and I'm making him a strong safety.
There you go.
Daniel Murphy out on deck to bat for Bobby Parnell. Mets facing Burke Badenhop in the bottom of the 6th. 1-2 to Santos, and it's on the outside corner. Strike 3 called. Some good looking pitches from Badenhop, one of the players the Marlins got in the big trade with the Tigers 2 winters ago.
Yeah, he's got outstanding stuff. Kind of a slinger, has good sink on his fastball. You saw it there. Also a good slurve. He's down in New Orleans as a starter, but they brought him up as a long reliever. And Sean Green gets ready in the bullpen.
So Green and perhaps Feliciano will try and nurse the Mets through the 7th and hope to set it up for Putz and K-Rod in the 8th and 9th. So now Murphy, sitting for the 2nd straight day, came off the bench yesterday for a pinch hit triple in the 6th inning, and here he is, same spot, 2 out and nobody out in the 6th, pinch hitting again. And Badenhop misses low and inside, ball 1. So Bobby Parnell, after giving up a hit and an error, came back to get the big outs that he needed. The strikeout of Cody Ross to get him through the top of the inning and keep the Mets in front. Murphy slaps one on the ground foul. 1-1.
I was watching Murphy the other day when he was working with Hojo, and the percentage of balls in batting practice that he hits to the right side of the field, it's got to be 95% to the left side, maybe 5% of the right side. And he came up last night. Where did he hit it? Right center for a triple.
On 1-1, he lines one into right field, a base hit. Well, Murphy comes through as a pinch hitter again, a 2-out single.
Great thing you like about Daniel Murphy, when it is a changeup or a breaking pitch, he stays back, lets his hands do the work. And that's where he's at right now, isn't it? The fastball is going to hit the other way. If you change up or throw him a breaking ball, he'll pull that pitch.
So now Jose Reyes. Reyes had a 12-game hitting streak going into last night, but he took an 0 for last night, and he's gone 0 for 3 tonight. Tried to bunt his way on his last time up, and Bonifacio threw him out. Murphy at first with 2 down. Mets up 4-3. They've led right throughout. They scored 2 in the first, 1 in the second, and have maintained the lead ever since. Murphy looking over to Razor Shines to see if anything's on here. Badenhop throwing over.
Badenhop throwing over a couple times tells me one thing, that he's very slow to the plate, trying to cover up for that deficiency. Do the Mets try to steal a base and steal a run?
Murphy not a big base stealer. And Reyes takes a strike. Alex Cora, who's had a very good night at the plate. waiting on deck. Mets have 7 hits and lead 4-3. And another throw over. A lot of attention paid to a guy who is not a base stealer.
You throw over for 2 reasons. One, you've got an outstanding move. He doesn't. Or 2, that takes you a long time to get rid of the ball to the plate. And he's one of those long-armed pitchers that takes a while to deliver that ball.
Pops out of the middle. Baker. That's the second or third time that's happened. But no advance.
Well, that's one of those that the catcher doesn't know whether to turn his glove over or catch it going down. Baker with the signs, all 5 and then a 1, which means throw over. That's their indicator. So if you're watching the Marlins give the signs, if he gives a whole fingers, all 5 fingers, that means he's going to put a play on. Whether it's hold the ball, throw to first, slide step, the different plays that you want to do to neutralize the running game.
1-1 to Reyes. A long hold by Badenhop, and Reyes asked for time. Bert Badenhop, originally drafted by the Tigers, is from the same hometown as Jimmy Leyland, Perrysburg, Ohio.
Wow.
Don't know if that's why they drafted him. One off the plate, and it's 2-1 to Reyes.
The problem you have is when you have a young pitcher, Freddie Gonzalez, you can put as many plays on as you want to keep the runner close to first, but to be able to divert your attention and have it both at first base and at home plate against the hitter, it takes usually guys that have a little more experience.
Reyes fouls it off, and it's 2-2.
Well, Reyes is looking at the bat. He had a good pitch to hit right there. Anytime a sinker ball, that ball's up in the strike zone, it flattens out. Just enough outside that Jose wasn't able to stay on it long enough and hit it the other way.
Badenhop missed most of last year, coming down with shoulder tendonitis after making 8 starts for the Marlins. Reyes bloops that one foul. Reyes looked locked in for about a week, but for 3 or 4 days now doesn't quite have the same feel at the plate.
I always feel if Jose bunts in his 3rd or 4th at bat, it's because he's feeling a little bit. If he bunts in his 1st at bat, he's trying to ignite and have a big day.
Badenhop again checking in on Murphy. The fans getting a little restless with that.
Murphy was leaning there, so almost caught him leaning towards second base. Tells me that Murphy's getting a little runnerish, as they say, feeling like taking a base.
Looking for his first career stolen base. He's going. Swung and grounded up the first baseline foul. Well, Murphy was on his way on 2-2, and he'll come on back.
Sometimes the hitter lets you know, sorry, the runner lets you know if they're running because they get a little antsy. Especially a guy like you're saying who's never stolen a base.
It's hard to disguise your intentions if you've never really had that intention before. Sean Green getting ready to pitch the 7th inning. Murphy with the 2-out pinch single on board at first. And another quick toss over. This must be the most throws to first that Daniel's ever experienced. Badenhop about to throw the 7th pitch of the at-bat to Reyes. In there for a call, strike 3, and Reyes is caught looking for the 2nd time today. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Badenhop. We head for the 7th. Sean Green coming out of the Mets bullpen to face the Marlins in the 7th, trying to protect a 1-run lead. rematch of aces as Santana and Johnson hook up tomorrow afternoon in a 1 o'clock start. Right now we go to the 7th inning and Shawn Green comes on to try to protect a 1-run lead.
Well, Shawn Green appeared in 64 games in 07, 72 last season. He might be up in the ante this season as he appears in his 11th game, trying to get the Mets through the 7th inning.
First man to face him will be Alfredo Amezaga. Amezaga 1 for 2, single to center back in the 3rd, grounded out in the 5th. Amezaga playing shortstop in the absence of Hanley Ramirez, who was hit on the hand by a pitch last night. It'll be Amezaga, then Ross Gload has come out on deck to bat for the pitcher, then Emilio Bonifacio in the 7th inning. And Amezaga takes wide 1-0. Green faced Amezaga last night in his 1-2-3 7th and got him to fly out. Taking all the way, and Green behind 2-0. There's Ross Gload, the East Ender. There's strike 2 and 1. Livan Hernandez went the first 5 1/3, allowed 3 runs, 2 of them earned on 3 hits, walked 2, struck out 5. He's in line for his 2nd win if the bullpen can make it stand up. And the bullpen has been superb so far. Green had that one rocky outing in St. Louis, but even at that, there was a moment in that bad outing that sticks with you when he finally threw inside to Pujols and struck him out to finish his otherwise very difficult 2 innings.
You saw some lack of fear there. You like to see that. And also, you know, some of those innings you have to stay out there, and he took a little bit of a beating, took one for the team. That is not missed by teammates.
Sometimes there are grace notes that embellish an otherwise ugly pitching line. And those things can resonate on your team and work for you down the road. 3-2 to Amezaga, and he walked him. Trying to come inside. Green walks Amezaga to start the 7th, so the Marlins have the tying run aboard. Let's check out the answer to our Aflac trivia question. We asked the only manager to lead his team to 5 consecutive World Series, and oh, by the way, win all 5? That would be Casey Stengel. Casey managed in 10 World Series overall and won 7 of them. Of course, he's retired in Met glory for being the first skipper of the new ball club in Flushing. Load lifts one to center field. Beltran battling the wind, so Amezaga goes back to tag, fakes the go as Beltran's throw comes into second base. Nicely done on both ends. Beltran to stay with that ball, and Amezaga to make sure he was in position to take the extra base if Beltran struggled with that ball, was back on his heels. Said new ball club in Flushing. Of course, the Mets began their life as a Manhattan ball club, playing at the Polo Grounds their first 2 years.
With the Coogan's Bluff, right?
Yep. So here's Bonifacio, who's 0 for 3 tonight, 1 for 8 in the series, and 7 for his last 58 overall after his rip-roaring start. Runner goes, a hit-and-run play, and he fouls it off. So Amezaga was on his way, and Bonifacio got a piece of it.
I think Freddie Gonzalez, knowing what kind of lineup he's had, how they've been hitting the last 7 games, trying to push the envelope a little bit.
And especially with Bonifacio, you get that infield moving around a little bit, hit the ball on the ground. You never know what might happen with his speed, and Amezaga's as well. John Green had turned 30 years of age last week. Fastball misses away, and it's 1-1. Cameron Maben, the number 2 hitter, standing on deck. Mets are keeping their bullpen busy behind Sean Green. Meziga, the tying run at first. He's going. Bonifacio bounces one over Tatis and into right field, a base hit. Meziga wasn't sure where it was, but still is able to go to third base. And the Marlins have the tying run at third with one out. So they tried the hit and run again, and this time it worked.
Well, gets lucky here, hits the ball over the head of Tatis. See the slapping of the glove by Cora? He's trying to make that sound like he caught the ball, and it alarms Meziga there for a second, but then instead of watching his coach, he proceeds to third base. Watch this. Just slapping it as hard as he can, so maybe Meziga thinks he might have made the play. That's old style baseball right there. I haven't seen that in a while.
Well, Cora trying, but Meziga wasn't buying. So now the tying run at third, the go-ahead run at first. Lots of speed on the bases for the Marlins, so a lot of options here for Freddie Gonzalez as Cameron Maybin, who also has terrific speed, steps in. Had a bunt single his last time up, and he takes the sinker low and inside, ball one. Meziga at third and Bonifacio at first. You could squeeze, you could double steal.
Mr. Green needs a punch out. That's what he needs here.
He does. And Maybin has struck out 23 times this year, including once tonight. Off the corner, and it's 2-0. Well, this may well be Green's last batter. The left-hand hitting John Baker is on deck, and Pedro Feliciano is up in the bullpen ready to face him.
This might be a case where your third place hitter might be hit 4 if you bring in Feliciano with Ronnie Paulino.
Brian Stokes up alongside Feliciano. And they've also got Wes Holmes on the bench, and maybe even Hanley Ramirez if he can swing the bat after getting hit on the hand last night. 1-0, foul back. So Maybin taking a rip, and it's 2-1. You see what Cameron Maybin has done in RBI situations this year. An unsightly 0 for 16. He has 1 RBI this season. That came on a home run.
You know who knows that stat better than anyone? Cameron Maybin.
Two-one from Green. Little dribbler. In comes right to Barehand. His only play is to first in time to get Maybin as the tying run scores. So on the infield out, Meziga races home to score, and the game is tied at 4-4.
Well, nothing David can do here. He knows that he's going to barehand it with the speed of Maybin. Just gets him at first base. And so much speed on the bases for the Marlins as they scratch out a run.
Well, it all goes back to the leadoff walk issued by Sean Green to Meziga. Bonifacio with the hit and run single, and Maybin with the slow bouncer to bring home the run, so we start even again. The go-ahead run now at second, and Baker the batter, and Green will stay in to face him. Baker is 0 for 2 and a walk. There goes the runner. The pitch outside. Throw to third by Santos. Not in time. And Bonifacio steals third. Now the go-ahead run is 90 feet away.
See, Green doesn't pay much attention, but you know, Bonifacio is so fast, he doesn't need to take a big lead, just uses that speed. Good job by David staying with him. Sometimes they'll come right off that bag.
Well, if you're going to steal third with 2 out, you better make it, and he made it by plenty. 1-0 to Baker. Outside, and again, Green finds himself behind in the count 2-0. Interesting that Feliciano is not in the game here. And maybe it's because Jerry Manuel is fearful of a bad matchup on the other side if they batted for Baker. And it's outside, ball 3. Jorge Cantu looming in the on-deck circle. Cantu already has a home run tonight. Mets 4, Marlins 4, 7th inning. The Marlins have just 5 hits tonight, but they've rallied to tie. And now Baker is on with a walk. So the inning's spiraling downward for Sean Green. That's his second walk. And Dan Warthen's going to visit the mound. You've got the right-hand batter Cantu coming up. Behind him, the left-hand hitter Hermida. Second walk of the inning issued by Green. Most important one went to the first hitter of the inning. That one has scored.
Well, that wind is picked up, and that ball by Green really has a lot of movement on it, but he's going to have to center it a little better.
Marlins trying to snap a 7-game losing streak after their phenomenal start. The wind has become an issue for the last hour or so. So now Cantu, who walked in the second, hit a 2-run homer in the fourth and singled to left in the sixth. And he takes outside 1-0. So Green having trouble getting ahead of the hitters.
So he's trying to throw that perfect pitch. Just center it a little better. Get yourself a ground ball.
Well, you got Hermida on deck, so Feliciano knows that he may be in the game yet. Hit in the air to deep left field. Back goes Sheffield, going back, looking up, and it's out of here. Jorge Cantu with his second home run of the game, a 3-run shot, and he gives the Marlins a 7-4 lead. Cantu breaks the tie, and the Marlins lead for the first time tonight.
Well, Green consistently behind the hitters. Had to come in and try to get even. Cantu, what a night. When that left the bat, I think the wind must be blowing in from left because that barely got out.
Sean Green with his second difficult outing in less than a week. Was tagged for 5 runs in 2 innings in St. Louis. Now he's suffered through a 4-run inning here at Citi Field. That's began this inning leading 4-3. And now they trail 7-4. So now Jeremy Hermida, and Green remains in to face the left-hand batter. Hermida 0 for 3 tonight, and he takes a strike.
Well, he wants that ball down and in, and that is as center as you can get with the fastball.
Hit hard down to first and handled by Tatis, who gets to the bag before Hermida, but not before the Marlins put up a 4 spot on the 7th. After a tying infield ground out, an untying 3-run homer by Cantu. He has 2 home runs and 5 RBIs of the night. Cantu's 5th of the year makes it 7-4 Florida. Another stellar start on the mound as the Mets finish up their series against the Marlins here at Citi Field. Mets-Marlins coverage begins tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. only on SNY. Well, Livan Hernandez pitched well enough to win today. He will now get a no decision as the Marlins have taken the lead, and they'll hand it over to Dan Meyer for the bottom of the seventh.
Well, Meyer has not been that bad. Look at that batting average especially against the right-handed hitter. Unbelievable that the left-handers are hitting higher. He's always a starter early in his career with Oakland, but made his first opening day roster here with the Florida Marlins.
Began his career in the Braves organization. Meyer pitched in last night's game and worked a 1-2-3 seventh, getting Cora, Beltran, and Sheffield. And he'll face the same three hitters in the seventh inning tonight. So the Mets, who led 3-0 and 4-2, are now down 7-4. Alex Cora is 2 for 2 in a walk, a single, a double. He's scored 2 runs. He's driven in a run. He's stolen a base. So a full night for Cora. And Alex takes high for ball 1. The Phillies have won their game. They beat Washington 7-1. Chase Utley with a pair of home runs. The Braves got 2 in the 8th and beat the Cardinals 2-1. And Cora taking all the way. It's 2-0. So Burke Badenhop is now pitcher of record on the long side for Florida after pitching a scoreless 6th inning behind Ricky Nolasco. Carlos Beltran on deck, and then Gary Sheffield for the Mets here in the 7th. So the Mets will try and do something that's been difficult for them this year, fighting from behind in the late innings. There's a strike, and it's 2-1. Kiko Calero, the next man up in the Marlins bullpen. Things have been rather uncertain in the pen for the Marlins early in the year. Their closer is the former Met farmhand Matt Lindstrom, who blew a save against the Mets that first week of the season, and then blew one in even more excruciating fashion against the Phillies the other day. So nothing is guaranteed as far as these last 3 innings for Florida. Now it's 3-1 to Cora, leading off in the bottom of the 7th. And there's a strike taking all the way. It's 3-2.
The interesting stat for the Mets is that they are 1-9 when they're losing after 6 innings. They're outscoring their opponents 31-16. So they've been getting some late runs in games that they've been behind.
Well, they had that game in St. Louis that they were far back and scored late. I call that window dressing.
Well, they could use some window dressing tonight.
They could. The valances, the curtains.
That's right.
Window treatment. 3-2. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. And Dan Meyer comes on and strikes out the first man to face him. Cora's down, 1 out in the 7th.
Well, good fastball up and in to Cora, who swings through the fastball.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Carlos Beltran. Beltran is 1 for 2. He's singled to right, lined out to left, and been intentionally walked. Carlos now has an 11-game hitting streak going, hitting an even .400. Well, in this homestand, the Mets have replicated the pattern that carried them most of last year, scoring a lot early and not much late. Popped up by Beltran on the infield, moving toward the mound. Bonifacio. Now it blows into foul territory, and it's dropped. How about that? That'll give you an example of how the wind is blowing. When that ball started out, it was in the middle of the infield, right near the mound. And the third baseman, Bonifacio, looked like he had the best chance. It blew into foul territory, and Cantu winds up missing it.
You don't usually see these kind of plays unless you're at Wrigley Field. All you can do is, sorry, buddy, look at the wind. You see Bacon blowing the wind.
Well, they've just charged an error to Cantu for prolonging the time at bat. It's the second very difficult error that's been handed out tonight. Anything up in the air right now, you better surround it. 1-1 to Beltran. Good off-speed pitch by Meyer to get ahead 1-2. We saw Dan Meyer the first week of the season in Florida. It was not very impressive. He's looked a lot better in this series.
It's almost like he was throwing his arm was hurt or something.
Sheffield waiting on deck. And Beltran down swinging. So Meyer with back-to-back strikeouts to start the bottom of the 7th.
Oh, nice change up here as Meyer picks up his defense. Ball straight down.
Well, Meyer has retired the 2 batters to face him, and he's going to lead the game. It's 2 out and nobody on. 3-run lead. Sheffield coming up, and Freddie Gonzalez says, "Nice job. See ya." So we'll bring in the right-hander, Kiko Calero, to face Gary Sheffield. Mets down 7-4, batting in the bottom of the 7th. We'll be right back. On Furniture and by Geico. Veteran right-hander Kiko Calero takes over the pitching for Florida.
Veteran of 246 big league games coming into this season. Attended Miami-Dade Kendall Junior College. Went to high school in Miami, also playing for his hometown team here at the face Sheffield.
Brian Stokes getting ready in the Mets bullpen. Gary Sheffield back in the first inning hit a long 2-run triple. He became the 9th different Met to triple in the last 9 games. The last time a big league team had triples from 9 different players over a 9-game span, the 1983 St. Louis Cardinals. And it was early enough in the 1983 season that one of the 9 was Keith.
Whoa.
He didn't get that many triples, you know. 1-0 to Sheffield, who since that triple back in the first has flied out and struck out. And Calero behind him 2-0. Reniel Pinto next man up in the Marlins bullpen with an eye toward Ryan Church, who's 2 batters away. 2 out and nobody on for Sheffield, with the Mets down by 3 runs in the 7th, and Sheff takes up and in, and it's 3-0. We're in the 7th inning. Freddie Gonzalez has the lead. He's already used 4 pitchers in this game. How many do you think he's going to use by the time this game's over?
All of them. Except for
even Cody Ross?
Yeah.
3-0, and Sheffield takes a strike. Ricky Nolasco went the first 5, allowed 4 runs, 6 hits. Burke Badenhop, pitcher of record, he worked an inning, no runs, 1 hit. Dan Meyer faced 2, struck them both out. And now Kiko Calero. And Sheffield gets under 1 to left field. The wind gets a hold of it, and Meziga trying to stay with it, and he grabs it to end the inning. Wind currents are an adventure. Let's go out 1, 2, 3. We head to the 8th, 7-4 Florida. At Citi Field go on sale this Sunday, May 3rd at 10 a.m. Visit Mets.com or get to the phone at 718-507-TIXX. Brian Stokes takes the mound as we go to the 8th inning.
Stokes been awfully good this season. Only one unearned run allowed. What I'm impressed with Stokes is that he's getting all his pitches over. You know, knock on wood for him today. But he's not only been using his fastball, his slider, and his changeup, all three.
There's a strike, and it's 0-2. By the way, I know that Keith is sitting home and watching the game, and he's probably a little annoyed at me right now.
He had a lot of triples one season.
He did.
Yep.
He had 11 one year, 1979, and he had 60 in his career. Of course, it was our producer, Greg Picker, who said in my ear when we talked about his triple in '83, somebody must have fallen down. I didn't say that.
Never underestimate the Mets, I'm telling you.
Check swing foul ball. That one caught Santos. Cody Ross on deck, then Alfredo Amezaga in the top of the 8th. I just never want to see the tape again of Mex running to third and grabbing his hamstring.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was just a horrible moment. It wasn't quite Joe Montana, but it hurt just to watch. Taken high, and it's 2-2.
Field straight away. You see, though, that Brian Church, like all season long, has been playing in that right center field gap.
Check swing grounder. Rolls out to Cora. And he throws out Uglo one away. Time to check in with the studio. Chris Carlin on a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Well, you know, Hamill's pitching tonight. Sunday would be his 5th day, and so there was at least a possibility going into tonight, as Cody Ross grounds one to Reyes for the second out, that the Phillies would skip Joe Blanton Sunday and pitch Hamels against the Mets. But now, with Hamels having to leave the game again because of injury, I guess that's probably not going to happen.
Well, Cole Hamels would love a do-over on this season, wouldn't he? Elbow problems in spring training, gets drilled by a line drive. Prince Fielder, and now with the turned ankle.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Amezaga, who got the 4-run 7th inning started against Sean Green by drawing a walk. A very ugly inning for Green, who walked a pair and then gave up a 3-run homer to Jorge Cantu that gave the Marlins the lead.
Well, after his comments about the Mets this winter, maybe the cowbell man put a spell on him or something for the season.
Have you seen the cowbell man around Citi Field?
I have. I shouldn't say. I have seen him. It's just harder for us to hear him here.
Well, it used to be that when cowbell man walked through the stands, he walked, between the boxes and the reserve section and whatever level he was on, so people could see him. The way the configuration here is at Citi Field now, there's no separation like that, so cowbell man's basically behind everybody, so they can hear him, but they can't see him. 3-1 to Amezaga. Foul back, 3-2. But cowbell man became a rather ubiquitous presence at Shea Stadium over the last few years. Fortunately, unlike the Apple, they were able to bring the same cowbell man into Citi Field. Fouled off, and again Santos bears the brunt of it.
The cowbell man scared me one night. I was coming out of the studio about 12:15 to see this pitch inside. Fouled off by Amezaga. Tough pitch. And I came out of that door and he was ringing that cowbell. I'm like,
in the middle of Manhattan?
Yes, like 12:15 at night.
Grounded to short. Reyes in a step to grab it, and he guns down the speedy Amezaga, who was really busting it down the line. 1-2-3 inning for Brian Stokes. Mets still down by 3. In above the Jackie Robinson Rotunda. Time for our Dunkin' Donuts Ask the Booth. Elizabeth from Scotch Plains wants to know, Ronnie, were there any hitters in particular that you looked forward to pitching against?
Wow, that's pretty interesting. I think the only guy that I had really good numbers at that I thought it was unusual was Mark Grace, who was a very accomplished first baseman with the Chicago Cubs, gamer, world champion with Arizona Diamondbacks. I think his career mark, maybe Dave will let us know later, is 1 for 28 off me.
Really?
So it seemed like even when I made a bad pitch, he hit it to someone, and when I did make a good pitch, he grounded out. So sometimes you have someone's number, even when he's such a great player like Gracie was.
Well, what about a guy who you might not have had as much success against, but you enjoyed the challenge of facing?
Oh, well, there's a lot of guys like that. I mean, Michael Jack Schmidt, you always wanted to face a guy like that. I mean, that's where you make your mark against the great hitters.
Leo Nunez on to pitch the bottom of the 8th inning, and David Wright takes a strike.
Well, this really was the big trade, wasn't it, for them? I mean, they had the trade with Washington, but they were trying to shore up that bullpen. They got rid of Mike Jacobs, who had a fantastic year for him. Fantastic year for Florida Marlins. And Leo Nunez is one of those guys that has a great arm, has had a lot of experience, but did a nice job of setting up Soria last year for Kansas City. Wonder if he lost the contact.
Well, with the wind blowing this way, even if he didn't lose it, it could have rolled up in his eye. If you ever won contact, you know that on the windy days, it's awfully tough to keep those contacts from drying out. Nunez, who had a great year in Kansas City last year, essentially taking the spot of Joe Nelson, whom the Marlins allowed to walk away. They non-tendered him. Grounded down to third, handled by Bonifacio, and he makes the toss to get right one away. Nelson had a great year for the Marlins last year, but over probably a couple of $100,000, they decided they didn't want to pay him what he wanted, and he signed a contract with Tampa Bay.
I think when a team has a small payroll, they have to have a limit on what they're going to spend for certain guys. And if you're not a closer, you're a setup guy, they're telling you that they're not going over $1 million. It's just that's the maximum number. If you can get it somewhere else, get it. He did.
Here's Ryan Church, who's 0 for 2 and a walk. By the way, you only slightly overstated the case. Grace was 1 for 24 against him.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Grayson.
And you walked him 4 times.
Oh, I did? Ow.
Tatis on that. Well, he had a good eye.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, in those days, the rest of the Cubs were all free swingers, and Gracie was the only guy who would take a pitch.
He really was. He had the pleasure or non-pleasure of catching their incredible shortstop there with a great arm.
Sean Dunston, who used to wind up on every throw to first.
Brooklyn Sean Dunston.
Grace would put an extra pad in that mitt to absorb it. Church lifts one to left center field. Moving over is Hermida. And he stays with it for the second out. Well, Sean's feeling was that if he didn't wind up and put everything he had on every throw, that he'd throw it away.
It's kind of like some pitchers. If you watch some pitchers, they can throw 95 miles an hour. But if they get a ball and have to throw it to first, if they don't throw it hard, it looks like they never played the game.
And Fernando Tatis. By the way, a lot of people don't remember this, but Sean Dunston had one of the best at-bats in Mets history.
Yeah, that's right.
In the 15th inning of Game 5 against the Braves in '99. I think he had a 12-pitch at bat before he singled to center field and got that rally started that culminated in the Robin Ventura grand slam single. It's funny because Sean came to the Mets, and he's a Brooklyn native.
Yep.
He didn't want to be here. He was with St. Louis, and he really enjoyed playing in St. Louis. 1-1 now to Tatis. JJ puts up in the Mets bullpen. There was a time in this game when the Mets had a lead in the 7th, and it looked as though it would be Puts and K-Rod, but the plan altered. Grounded through the whole base end of the right field. So Tatis just bouncing one the other way for his first hit of the night, a 2-out single.
You think about Pujols with a wide stance, a real narrow, older stance, the big leg kick. It's something you don't see as much anymore. Tries to time that leg kick, and nice hitting as he hits that ball away to the right side.
So the Mets have their 8th hit, a 2-out base runner with Omir Santos coming up. Santos singled and scored back in the first, has struck out twice since then. His 4th consecutive start. And trying to get aboard here to get the tying run to the plate. Backhanded out of the dirt by Baker, 1-0. He'll run it out to the mound. Jeremy Reed out on deck to pinch hit if Santos can keep the inning going. Leo Nunez, the 5th Marlin pitcher of the night. And it's in tight to Santos, 2-0. Pedro Feliciano up yet again in the Mets bullpen. Hard to believe you haven't been in this game yet. The 2-0. Tatis runs and Santos pops one up in foul ground. Where will the wind take this one? Bonifacio tracking it, but it lands on the back of the dugout roof. I mean, there's just no telling where the ball's going to end up. It's that kind of windy night. And the wind may not even be blowing as hard now as it was earlier. There have been 2 errors charged in this game. One was to Cantu on that wind-blown foul ball, and the other one to David Wright on a very difficult play. Well, Shannon's tough tonight.
Needs a hug, I think.
No one ever had to hug Red Foley. Well, Bill's the best in the business. In fact, he wrote the book on official scoring. So,
who are we to judge? But that's our job.
Yeah, we all have bad nights. 2-1 to Santos. Looped into shallow left, and Hermida is there to make the grab and end the inning. A hit and a man left on. We head for the 9th now. Still 7-4 Florida. Brian Custer and Brandon Tierney as they tackle all the big sports stories of the day in the Wheelhouse, weekdays at 5:30 only on SNY. Brian Stokes, who pitched a 1-2-3 8th inning, stays on for the 9th. Looks like the hockey season could end in the New York area. The Rangers lost tonight in Game 7, 2-1 in Washington, and the Devils are down 4-3 with 31 seconds to go against Carolina over in Newark. How about that? Here's Brett Carroll to pinch hit for the Marlins as we go to the 9th inning. Carroll appeared as a pinch hitter last night at a deep fly ball to left that was caught. And Carroll fouls the first pitch fastball back, 0-1. Don't forget, day game tomorrow and a great pitchers matchup. Johan Santana against Josh Johnson, round 2. I mentioned it when the Mets faced Jordan Zimmerman the other day. There are a number of young, very young pitchers in this division whom the Mets will be seeing for years to come. Guys like Jair Jurgens and Johnson and Anibal Sanchez and Zimmerman,
Chris Volstad, of course.
There's a lot of pitching talent in this division. Of course, Cole Hamels is in that list too, as Wright throws out Carroll one away.
At some point, Atlanta's going to have Tommy Hanson up. He's a great prospect.
So here's Bonifacio, who's 1 for 4. He had the hit and run single in the middle of that 4-run 7th inning. Bouncing one over Tatis's head. He later stole third and scored in front of Cantu's 3-run homer that broke the 4-4 tie.
Of all the games here, that's the first ball I've seen hit kind of in front of the plate that really got a big bounce.
All the infielders have been raving about the infield here. Often with new ballparks, it takes a little while for that infield to sub.
Yep.
Well, it's over in Jersey. Doubles lost. 4-3. Rangers lost. Hockey season over in New York.
Put the sweaters away.
1-1. Hit hard off Stokes. Caroms to Cora. Spins. Can't make the play. Against the speed of Bonifacio. Nice effort by Cora. Stokes appears to be all right. But that was a shot.
Bonifacio seemed to got his stroke back a little bit. Looks like it hit Stokes in the hip, maybe. Nice play by Alex.
Did everything he could, but Bonifacio is just too fast. So an infield hit for Bonifacio. And now Cameron Maybin, who drove in the tying run with a slow ground ball to third in the 7th. He's 1 for 4 on the night. Bonifacio already has a stolen base tonight. He has 6 for the year. Doesn't really compare with Dexter Fowler, who had 5 in 1 game for the Rockies last night.
And he stole them against Chris Young. And if he has any Achilles heel, Chris Young, he cannot hold runners on.
Maybin pulls the foul. The last rookie to have 5 steals in a game, you got to go back 10 years. Damian Jackson had 5 in a game.
Well, it was a Colorado Rocky. I don't know if he did it as a Rocky or a Los Angeles Dodgers, but I think Eric Young had 6 in 1 game. I think there's been a few that have had 6.
Bonifacio with a healthy lead. Try to return to the big leagues tonight for Phil Hughes. The Yankees were up 11-0 on the Tigers in the 9th. He didn't win a game at all last year, did he?
Yeah,
he went 0-4, then he got hurt.
Ian Kennedy was supposed to be the answers last year. It didn't work out for those young, talented pitchers.
Now the Red Sox have snapped the tie in Cleveland, going for their 12th straight win. Hughes tonight allowed just 2 hits in 6 innings. In Detroit. May have been waiting. The 0-1 popped up. And now the wind will swirl this one around. Right, trying to track it. And he makes the grab, 2 away. So 2 out. Right after the game, be sure to join Chris Carlin and former Met Bobby Ojeda for all today's highlights, exclusive interviews, and, of course, Jerry Manuel's post-game reactions. It's all coming up on Lincoln Mercury Post-Game Live immediately after today's game. And now after all 162 Met games this season, only on SNY. Brian Stokes has done his work for the night. After an inning and 2/3, he'll take his exit. And Pedro Feliciano will come on to face John Baker. 7-4 Florida in the 9th. Knight guarding the Harbor. Is that purple and orange on the Empire State Building?
Yeah.
What's that for?
I don't know.
Pedro Feliciano will try and get the final out on the top of the 9th.
Still thinking about the purple and orange. Has Feliciano trying to get John Baker out here, the left-handed hitting catcher for the Florida Marlins.
Well, Feliciano was up in the 7th inning with Baker coming up with 2 out, with the game tied, and he did not come in. He comes in here, throws 1 pitch, and he gets Baker out to end the inning. So we head for the bottom of the 9th. The Mets will face off against their former farmhand, the hard-throwing Matt Lindstrom. 9. An HD free with IOTV. By Pella Windows, the Mets official window and door replacement company. Call 1-866-64-PELLA for special savings today. By City, City never sleeps. And by Sponge Tech, America's cleaning company. Matt Lindstrom comes on to try and save it for the Marlins.
Well, he has saved games 3 times out of 5 opportunities so far for the Marlins, but his last outing, of course, against the Philadelphia Phillies resulted in 7 runs given up in the 9th inning. He's got to have some good feelings here, though. He got the last save ever here at Shea Stadium on the last day of the season.
Jeremy Reed will come up to pinch hit, leading off in the last of the 9th. Brett Carroll, who pinch hit, stays in the game in left field. So the pitcher will go in Hermita's number 5 spot in the order. See what Reed has done at the plate so far this year. Trying to get aboard and start things off with Reyes and Cora to follow. And if anybody gets on, Carlos Beltran will get a turn. Mets led this game 3-0 at one point. But they're down 7-4 as they bat in the bottom of the 9th. And Reed takes a strike. 98 from Lindstrom. Reyes on deck. He's been held hitless tonight for the 2nd straight night by the Marlins. And the slider from Lindstrom misses, 1-1. When we saw Lindstrom the first week of the season in Florida, he was throwing more in the 94-95 range. He had had some shoulder problems during spring training. So it definitely looks as though he's throwing harder. That one at 99. 1-2 to Reed.
Well, another one of those guys that played in the WBC, got it going early, and had to shut it down and come back. Ken Takahashi warms up, probably just getting some throwing in, unless the Mets are able to come back.
Reed fouls it off. If and when Takahashi gets in a game for the Mets, he'll be the 3rd oldest player in Major League history at the time of his Major League debut. Satchel Paige was the oldest, Diomedes Olivo was 2nd, and Takahashi, the 40-year-old rookie, would be the 3rd. 1-2. Slider grounds it to the right side, and Cantu plays it 1 away. So Reed retired as a pinch hitter. And now Reyes, who's gone 0 for 4 tonight and struck out twice. So say 0 for 8 in this series. Having a 12-game hitting streak come to an end last night. Reyes has 2 hits and 7 career at bats against Matt Lindstrom. And Jose pops one foul, and even though that one was 20 rows back, both the third baseman and the catcher took a look at it, because the way the wind has been blowing for the last hour and a half, you just never know.
Well, Lindstrom's got all the pitches to be a closer. He throws 95 plus. Great slider. Fork ball is a good pitch too. He's just hasn't had that much experience, and this is his first really full season of it.
When the Mets traded Lindstrom away and picked up Adam Bostic and Jason Vargas in that deal, they felt as though Lindstrom had topped out. He was not a young pitcher who they thought was going to get a lot better. They thought he was an older pitcher, 26, 27 years old, who had reached his peak. But when you have an arm like that, sometimes you can find it and get it all together. So he's 29 years old now.
5 for 6 at the end of last season for the Marlins. Had a couple stumbling blocks here early, but
2-2. Struck him out. Third time tonight Reyes has been struck out. And so the Mets are down to their final out of the night.
Well, this is just simply some serious petrol from Lindstrom. Look at that grip. 4-seamer. Reach back and let it go.
Well, the Mets are playing their 20th game of the season tonight. And unless they have a big rally in them here in the ninth, this will be the 4th time already that they've lost a game that they led by 3 or more runs. They had 14 such games last year. Here's Cora, who's 2 for 3 and a walk. And he takes low and inside, ball 1. And Lindstrom is throwing some serious gas.
This is like a very Goose Gossage-like, the way he's just rearing back and letting it go.
I think he gets a little extra pumped pitching here in New York, too.
Pitch against New York and pitching against the team that lets you go. Always.
1-0 to Cora. And that's in for a strike, 1-1.
To get me over fastball there, Gary, at 97.
Yep. BP. On 1-1, Cora takes the slider, and it's inside, 2-1. Well, Rex Ryan's got the rally cap going.
Very nice.
Can't do that with a football helmet.
Can't find your way.
Two out and nobody on. 2-1 to Cora. And he pops one up into left field. In comes Carroll. And the ball game is over. Lindstrom saves it with a 1-2-3 bottom of the ninth. The Mets for the 4th time this year let a 3-run lead get away and waste some good starting pitching from Livan Hernandez tonight. Jorge Cantu with a huge game, 2 home runs.